You are welcome to Daytooth Academy, where we are devoted to building excellence in students in STEM education. Our video today is going to be a very wonderful journey in which you are going to be looking at all the 50 questions from the objective paper of the 2020 WAEC School Candidate Exam, that's the WASSCE exam, and we are going to be looking at how to interpret these questions to know the steps that we need to take, then those steps and the reasons why we are taking them. We are going to be doing all of this in this particular video. Now, we are going to cover quite a whole lot of topics because it's actually going to stretch through the syllabus for the WAEC exam. So we are going to talk about algebraic processes, talk about equations, simultaneous equation, quadratic equations. We are going to be looking at circle theorems, circle geometry, mensuration of plane shapes. We are going to be looking at trigonometry identity, angle of elevation. We are going to be looking at statistics, probability. We are going to be looking at set theories. It's just packaged for you to build that proficiency that you need to make excellence in your exam. So what exams are we talking about? Particularly this is a past question from WAEC, but you can also use this for any of your O-level exams. Talk about WAEC, NECO, even international exams like GED, GCSE, and they are going to equip you with what you need to know to be able to face these exams and tackle them appropriately. Now, one of the things we have noticed over time is that when we have this video that is so lengthy, the student get to mix up, oh, where did I stop? Where do I continue? So that's why we are breaking this video down into chapters. So if you look at one of the videos that we've done previously, you can see, look at this video, you can see that you can easily click on the section where you are in each video and you can look at the questions that are going to follow. You can look at the questions before. You can go to a particular question because we took time to actually section this in such a way that it will be easy for you to find the particular question you are looking for, or to go to the particular place that you stop initially, so that you can actually enhance how you use this video to prepare for your exams. And that's not all. See, all of these topics that are lumped together in this particular exam, we have playlists that are addressing each one of them. So if you go through our playlist at Daytooth Academy, you can see for so many of your topics in mathematics, you can click on any of these playlists so that if you have a particular topic that you're having challenges on, you can just go to the playlist. That will not be lumping all the topics together. You only focus on that particular one and you will look at them in the play to build your proficiencies. And we are doing all this because we want you to be the best that God has created you to be, so that when you are scaling your exam is not going to be a stumbling block. You are going to ace them seamlessly, and that's why we are soliciting that go ahead and subscribe to Daytooth Academy. The effort that are being put into this are just for you to be the best that God wants you to be. So subscribe for us to get the feedback that yes, what we are doing is really making impact, and students, they really want to watch this. They are in need of this. Is making some positive impact upon their lives and will be encouraged to do more. So without much ado, let's head over to our video for today. In this question, we are asked to evaluate correct to two decimal places 75.0785 minus 34.624 plus 9.83. So if you want to carry that out, we can just say this is the same as first. Let's carry out this operation, okay, so that we could not be confused by trying to lump everything together. So we can say 75.0785, okay, minus 34.624. Now, so these are 3 digits to the right of the decimal place, and because it's not having any additional number, this particular location is as good as if you are having 0, so that we can carry out the operation seamlessly. Now we have the same number of decimal places in the first case as in the second case, so we can just go ahead to subtract that. 5 minus 0, that is 5. 8 minus 4, that is 4. 7 minus 2 is 5. Now 0 minus 6, we need to borrow 1 from this 5, okay, so if you borrow 1, this will remain 4, so this will be 10. 10 minus 6, that will be 4. Okay, now we have 4 minus 0, that is 0. 7 minus 3, that is 4. So now we have 40.4545, but we also need to add 9.83 to that. So we just want to add 9.83. Again, we are seeing that these are just 4 decimal places, whereas these are 2 decimal places, we can just make that 12 by adding zeros to that, such that we can now add all of this together. So 5 plus 0, that will give us 5. 4 plus 0, that is 4. 5 plus 3, that is 8. 4 plus 8, that is 12. So we have 1 remaining that we can bring here. 1 plus 9, that is 10. So we have 0, and we can add that 1 to 4. 1 plus 4, that will now be 5. So 50.2845 is the answer that we're having here. But look at the options. We only have them in 2 decimal places, and we are told to evaluate it correct to 2 decimal places. So the solution we have here is 50.2845 that we want to put in 2 decimal places. And for us to do that, now we can see if it's 2 decimal places, we just have this as our interest. But before we can conclude, we need to know how to deal with this 4, because we need to round it up or we round it down. Now, as a rule of thumb, any number between 0 to 4, they are generally taken down to 0, okay? And numbers between 5 and 9, they are rounded up to 1. And if you round it up to 1, we now add it to the entry just before the number that we are looking at. But in this case, we have 4. So, since 0 to 4, we are going to round down to 0, okay? Then, that means that this will not have any effect on the next number in consideration, which is 8. And in that case, our answer correct to 2 decimal place will now be 50.28. I didn't mean that this is 5, then we would have taken it to 1 and add it to 8, and that is going to give us 9, and that correct option would have been B. But in this case, since we have 4, okay, and we are rounding up 4 so that we can actually put them in 2 decimal places, then we are going to round 4 down to 0, and 0 plus 8 will be 8, and then the other numbers, they will retain their position. So the correct option out of all these that we're having is option C, 50.28. Alright, that's the correct answer. If X is defined such that X is constituting elements that are less than 7, okay, so that's what the meaning of this statement is, and Y is defined such that Y is a factor of 24, if these two sets, if they are subsets or subjects of the universal set 1, 2, 3 to 10, we are to find X intercept Y. So first, let's take our universal set, because all of the elements we are going to be considering, they need to be under that universal set. So the first thing we need to do is to first define our universal set, and if we are told that it is 1, 2, 3, so we can say it is 1, 2, 3. So these 3 dots means that we should continue listing those elements in that sequential order. So we say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so we are ending at 10 here, so we are also stopping at 10. Okay, so that's very good. But then we also need to define the other factors. Like in the first case, we are told that X is defined such that X is less than 7. So if we want to define the set X, and we're told that it is less than 7, and of course all the elements will need to be included in the universal set. So what are the numbers in this universal set that are less than 7? So we can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and is 7 going to be included? Of course not, because we are told numbers less than 7. I didn't mean that it is less than or equal to 7, then 7 would have been included. But since we are told it is less than 7, 6 will be the last entry. Okay, then Y. We are told that Y is defined so that Y is a factor of 24. So we need to ask ourselves, what are the factors of 24? So we want to find the factors of 24. Okay, so we can use numbers that we know can be used to divide 24. We have 2 in 24, that is 12. 2 in 12, that is 6. Okay, 2 in 6, that is 3. Then 3 can be used to divide 3. We have 1. Okay, so it is the interpolations of these numbers, including 1, okay, that we are going to consider to get the factors of 24. First, okay, of course, all of these numbers here, like 1, 3, 6, 12, and 24, they are going to be factors of 24. But recall that we are actually limited to numbers from 1 to 10 inclusive. So we have 1, 3, 6, and 12. Okay, so let's note that. What about these two? We have 2, sure. Then here we can say we have 2, good. Okay, but we can also do combination of 2 and 2, that is 4. Okay, but we can also even do a triple combination, 2, 2, and 2, that is 8. All right, or we can also do 2 and 3. Of course, 6 is already reflecting. Then maybe 3 and 4, that will be 12. That will also be greater than the elements in the universal set. So with this, that means we need to look at the constituent elements to be 1, okay, and 2, then 3, 4, 5 is not going to be there because look at all this. 5 is not reflecting at all. Of course, we also have 6, okay. Then, since we are combining 2 in 3 places, we also have 8. Is there any other numbers? 9 cannot go, and of course, 10 is not part. So, these are the constituent elements of the set Y, okay. So, now, that is good. So far, so good. But we're asked to find X intersect Y. So, if you want to find X intersect Y, let's look at the two sets, and we are going to be looking at the elements that are common to the two. That's why we are saying intersect, okay? The elements that are common to the two. If it is union, we are going to take all of the elements without repeating any. But here, we are talking about intersect. So what are the elements that are common to both X and Y that we have defined under this universal set? You can see we have 1, okay? 1 is there. We have 2, okay? Those are common. We have 3, those are common. We have 4, okay, those are common. We have 5 in X, but we don't have 5 in Y, so that is not part of it. We have 6 in X and we have 6 in Y, so these are common. 8 is in Y, but it is not in X. So we've been able to identify the elements that are in the set X intersect Y, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. All right, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 are the elements that satisfies the condition X intersect Y, and we can see looking at the options that we have, option B is corresponding to that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So option B is the correct solution to this question. In this question, we're asked to simplify 16 over 9 raised to power minus 3 over 2 times 16 raised to power minus 3 over 4. All of this in bracket raised to power 1 over 3. Now, this is a classical question that is going to test our understanding and our application of the rules of indices. And now, if you notice, we are having a fractional power, okay? We're also having negative power. So, two rules that will help us to be able to solve that is, first, if you have a number, let's say number A raised to power a negative power, okay? This is the same as if we are having 1 over A raised to power m, okay? So if you have a negative power, that means you should use that number to divide 1, like we have 1 over A raised to power m. So in the second case, the other rule that will help us when we're having a fractional power, and you are having something like A again, let's say A raised to power m over n. In this case, this is the same as, look at the power, we have n as the denominator. That means we have to find the nth root of A, okay, and then we'll still raise it to the power of m. So those are the rules that will help us to solve this question, and I just want to divide my board so that you can see how best we can solve this. And I'm going to be showing some tips that will really help you to solve questions like this. And the very key tip I want you to just pick is this: don't try solving all these questions by writing them out line by line. You can take them piecewise. All right, that's where we have the beauty of board mass or PEMDAS. You can take things out and first order, like here we have a bracket, okay? We can try and evaluate this first expression and then evaluate this expression, then put everything, the result, into this bracket and apply this outer power. It's better that way because we'll be less prone to error. So in this particular case, first we have 16 over 9. Okay, 16 over 9 raised to power minus 3 over 2. Like I explained, using this law of indices, this will be 1 divided by 16 over 9 raised to power 3 over 2. I can take out the negative power because now I'm saying it is 1 divided by the expression that I have. So I've taken care of the negative power. And this is nothing but the same as 1 multiplied by, we now reverse the order, 9 over 16 raised to power 3 over 2. Okay, now we are making some progress. Let's also take it further. If we now want to apply this particular law, and I will take it piecewise, okay, so this will mean that I have this number as, because I'm having 2 as the denominator, so it will be the square root of 9. So I have the square root of 9 over the square root of 16 raised to power 3. Okay, so I've taken care of the denominator in the power by finding the square root of the numbers in that bracket. So I know the square root of 9, I know that to be 3, and the square root of 16, I know that to be 4. So this is 3 over 4 raised to power 3, and I can just express it out. 3 raised to power 3 is 3, multiplying itself in 3 places. 3 times 3, 9, times 3, that's 27, okay, over 4 raised to power 3 is 4, multiplying itself in 3 times 4 times 4, that is 16. 16 times 4, that is 64. Okay, so I can note this, that for this first expression in our question, I have 27 over 64, but that's not all. I also need to work on 16 raised to power minus 3 over 4. So I can say for the second expression, 16 raised to power minus 3 over 4. This just going directly will just be 1 over 16 raised to power 3 over 4. Okay, so I've done it just like this. Then I'm going to have this as 1 over 16 raised to power 3 over 4 will be the fourth root of 16 raised to power 3. Now the fourth root of 16 is asking me for a number that I can multiply by itself in 4 places to give me 16. I know it is 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is going to give me 16. So this is the same as 1 over 2 raised to power 3. Okay, 2 raised to power 3 is 8. Okay, so this is 1 over 8. All right, so no problem with that. I can now say that I want to use this to try and solve the question as appropriate, that I can now bring everything into this bracket. So I have something like this. The first expression I got to be 27 over, wow, okay, look at this. I'm noticing something. I'm seeing this to the power of 3 and saying this to the power of 3. I want to raise everything to 1 over 3. So let's just use this fraction to the power of 3 because the powers are common and they can cut out themselves. 3 and 1 over 3 can easily cut out themselves. So I can just use that to say I have this as, instead of writing 27 over 64, let me just put this. I have this as 3 over 4 raised to power 3, okay, multiplied by the second expression is 1 over 2 raised to power 3, okay, then all of them are raised to power 1 over 3. Now I can expand this to say I can factor out this power, or even just this power, bring it to multiply each of the entry by opening that bracket. So I will have 3 over 4, okay, raised to power 3, okay, but now when this 1 over 3 is coming, I can say times 1 over 3. This is beautiful, okay, then multiply by 1 over 2 raised to power 3, okay, then times 1 over 3 also, okay. Yeah, I can say it's 1 raised to power 1 over 3, but I know 1 raised to power any number is 1, so I don't really need that. And I'm doing this because, like I said before, I can observe that this 3 can cut this 3 and this 3 can cut this 3. And with that, my solution will be 3 over 4 multiplied by 1 over 2. Yeah, 3 times 1, that is 3. 4 times 2, that is 8. And looking at the options, you can see option C, 3 over 8, and that is the solution to this. So the advice I want to just give you as students is that you don't need to start expressing these out line by line, line by line. You may miss 1 or 2 things by doing that. Just take it piecewise and you can now open it up and solve everything just like we did. And practicing with this type of questions, you will get to build your proficiency in solving questions like this on indices as you come across them. In this question, we're asked to find the least value of x, which satisfies the equation 4x is equal to 7 under modulo 9. Now, the question is, what's our understanding of modular arithmetic? If you really want to get a good grasp of it, there's a video that has been done by Daytooth Academy in which we took time to explain in-depthly how to solve this question. It's a theory question, so we really took time to trash it out. You can check that for your better understanding in the link that is flashing in the video above, or you can check in the description below. But now let's talk about modulo 9. Now, when we're having modulo 9, it's as if we're having something like this. We'll have something like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so for this particular case, whenever we're to get to 9, we'll round off at 9 because that's the modulo in which we're actually working. So if you have to continue what you are doing, so instead of saying 9, you round off here at 9. So this will be 10, this will be 11, this will be 12, this will be 13, this will be 14, 15, 16, 17. You can see 18 again will also be rounding off at this particular point. Okay, so that will be the cap of what we're actually working with. So if you have to look at this, you can say 10 is congruent to 1 because both of them under modulo 9, they're actually carrying the same value. 11 is congruent to 2, 12 is congruent to 3, 13 is congruent to 4. We cannot write 10, 11, 12, 13 when we're talking about modulo 9. So we will continually write 1, 2, 3. So the loop has been completed and we just need to take that loop again and again under modulo 9. Now, the question here is that we have to find the least value of x, which satisfies the equation 4x is equal to 7. This is actually what I want you to get. Now, when we're talking about mod 9, the ideal thing for you to do is to look at a division by 9. Okay, consider division by 9. And with the division by 9, you now note down the remainder. So, and get the remainder. I'm just using this as a means of refreshing or understanding of modular arithmetic. Like now, look at this. If I'm talking about 13, okay, if I want to actually talk about 13, I can say that what is 13? I know that 13 to be, now we're talking about 9, 13 over 9, that will be 1, okay, and 13 minus 9, which is the remainder, will be 4 over 9. So looking at this particular little explanation, 4 is the expression of 13 under modulo 9. Okay, so 13 is congruent to 4 in modulo 9. This is how you actually write out the expression. But now, if I have 4 and I need to consider that, what I now need to do is that, okay, I'm saying that 4, I will need to add it to 9. All right, I will need to add that particular 4 to 9 for me to get the expression I'm working when I'm working with modulo 9. So for the particular question that we're looking at here, we're now saying that 4x is equal to 7 under modulo 9, and we cannot say it is, look at this, it's not 4, because if x is 1, we could have said 4 times 1 is 4. So now we are not taking the base value of our modulo, we are looking at the next iteration. That's why we can look at 7, and they said the least value, so it's the next iteration that will take the least value. The second iteration will be a number greater than that least. So since they are talking about the least value of x, then this particular 9, this particular 7, we need to actually add to 9, because like the case of 13 and 4 that I'm talking about, if you add 4 to 9, you're actually going to get 13. So for this question, what we now have will be that we have it as 4x is equal to 7 under mod 9 is nothing but saying we have 4x is equal to 7 plus 9. Okay, that is the least value. I didn't mean that is the second value. We will now say it will be 7 plus 18, just like I indicated there. If it's the third value we are looking at, it will be 7 plus 27, those multiples of 9. Okay, so here we are having 4x is equal to 7 plus 9. That means that we have 4x is equal to 7 plus 9 is 16. And if we divide both sides by 4, we will see that our x that we are looking for, x will be, this 4 can cancel this 4. 4 here 1 and 4 here 4. X will be 4. So looking at our options, you can see option D is one carrying that 4, and that will be the correct solution to this particular question. What you need to pick if you really want to get this is that when you are actually working in mode 9, that mode you can add to solve this type of question anyway. You can add 9 to 7, that will give us 16. So you can solve for x appropriately. Alright, so 4 is the answer to this question. In this question, we have to express 1 plus 2 log 3 to base 10 in the form log q to base 10, okay? And we have all these options that they were given in log to base 10. And what we need to note, the key point for us to be able to solve this question is that 1 can be expressed as a logarithm of a particular number to the base of that number. So if we have log of 2 to base 2, that is 1. If we have log of 30 to base 30, that is also 1. But in this particular case, look at what we are working with. We are working with log to base 10. So for our particular question here, we can rewrite this equation to be, instead of 1, we can say that is log to base 10 of 10, because log of a number to the base of that number is 1, okay? Then plus 2 multiplied by log of 3 to base 10, okay? Now, you want to express it in this, that means you need to eliminate this particular 2. And another law of logarithm is telling us that this 2, that is the coefficient of log of 3 to base 10, we can take to the power of that logarithm such that we have it as log of 10 to base 10 plus log of 3 to base 10 raised to power 2. Okay, so this will be log to base 10 of 10 plus log to base 10, 3 raised to power 2 is 9. And then the other rule of logarithm that will help us is that when we have two logarithms that are being added together with the same base, you can just take a particular base and multiply those numbers whose logarithm we are finding by saying 10 times 9. And this will be log to base 10 of 90. So this is now exactly in the order that we're asked to find log to base 10 of q, and here you can see log to base 10 of 90. And looking at the options that we have, this is option A, log to base 10 of 90. Alright. Here in this question, we're asked that if 1001 to base 2 plus 12 to base y is equal to 23 to base 5, we have to find the value of y. Okay. Now, the rule of thumb for us to follow here is that we should just convert everything to base 10. Let's flatten out this expression and then we'll be able to solve for y as requested. And to flatten it out, to convert to base 10, we need to take 101 to base 2, convert it to base 10, 12 to base y, convert it to base 10, and 23 to base 5, convert it to base 10. And this is what we do in that case. Since this, let me write it out like this. We have 101 to base 2 plus 12 to base y is equal to 23 to base 5. Okay. Now, this is what we do. We just multiply each of the entries, multiply by the base, and then we duplicate the power, and I'm going to show that in this case we have 1 times y plus 2 times y, and then to the right hand side we have 2 times 5 plus 3 times 5. Okay, this is the conversion that will really help us to solve this type of question whenever we come across them. All right, so what we now need to do is look at this. Look at 101 to base 2. We start from the right hand side, okay, 1 on the right hand side, and we multiply it by that base, but now we take it in increasing order of its power. Like in this case, we have 2 raised to power 0. For this one, we have 2 raised to power 1. For this one, we have 2 raised to power 2. The same thing we do to y, okay. First, we start from the right hand side. Okay, 2 is on the right hand side, okay. So y will be raised to power 0. Then here, the second one, y will be raised to power 1. And then, for the right-hand side also, we start from 3. The 5 will take the power of 0, and this 5 will take the power of 1. Okay? So, if we have that, we can now say we want to go ahead to solve the question. This is 2 raised to power 2 is 4. 4 times 1, that is 4. Plus 2 raised to power 1 is 2. 2 times 0, that is 0. Okay? Plus 2 raised to power 0. Any number raised to power 0 is 1. Then 1 times 1, that is 1. Okay? Plus y raised to power 1 is y. Y times 1, that is y. Plus, like I said before, any number raised to power 0 will be 1. So y raised to power 0 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Okay? Is equal to 5 raised to power 1 is 5. 5 times 2, that is 10. Plus 5 raised to power 0 is 1. 1 times 3, this is 3. So we can just see 4 plus 1, that's 5 plus 2. We have 7 plus y is equal to 10 plus 3. 10 plus 3 is 13. Okay? So if we work on that, we can say y is equal to 13. When 7 moves to the right hand side, it becomes minus 7, so that y is nothing but 13 minus 7. 13 minus 7 will give us 6. Okay? So for this particular question, y is 6. So option C is the correct answer. 6 is the value of y for this question. Alright? In this question, we are told that an amount of 550,000 naira was realized when a principal X was saved as 2% simple interest for 5 years. We have to find the value of X. What we need to take note of is that the amount that was realized is actually the sum of the principal, okay, plus the simple interest that was generated. All right? So because initially the principal was there in the account, and then the simple interest was accrued to it, such that it is now a total of 550,000 naira. And 550,000 naira is the principal which we are given as S plus the simple interest. So we'll still come back to that. But generally we know that the formula for our simple interest is the principal times rate times time over 100. So for this particular case, we want to put that into consideration. What's the principal that we are giving? We are giving X to be the principal. The rate, that's 2% times 2, okay? And the time was given as 5 years, okay? So over 100. So this will be 2 times 5 is 10. So this will be 10x over 100. And over 100. And we can just divide so that this will be x over 10. Okay? So that is the simple interest. But recall, look at this. But from this particular first expression that we are told, I've been able to clarify that the principal plus the simple interest is what amounts to 550,000 naira. Okay? Now, what was the principal that we are given? We are told that it is x. So, principal is x. What's the simple interest that we are looking at? It's x over 10. This is x over 10 is equal to 550. This is the key thing that we need to note in this question so that we would not mix it up. So, in this case, for the left hand side, we find the LCM. We will find this to be 10x plus x is equal to, for the right hand side, we have 550,000 naira over 1. So, if we can just cross multiply this, okay, we are going to have, let me just roll this, we are going to have 10x plus x will be 11x is going to be 450,000 times 10, that will be 5.5 million, okay, and then to get x we can just divide both sides by 11 so that the x will be this 11 can cancel this 11, and then this can be used here. 11 in 55, that is 5, then we have all the other zeros remaining, so that the value of x that we're asked to find is 500,000 naira. Okay, that's the value of x. What we just need to note so that we don't get to miss this question is that the amount we are talking about originally is actually the addition of the principal and the simple interest. So if we add those two, it's going to give us the amount that had been realized, which is 450,000 naira, and solving for that, our x will be 500,000. And looking at the option, we can see option D is the correct one that is giving us our answer. We are given that root 3 plus root 5 over root 5 is equal to x plus y root 15, and we are to find the value of x plus y. Students, whenever you are coming across questions like this, please note what you are asked to find. We are asked to find x plus y, not just x and not just y. So we need to actually go ahead and solve this question, and we are given root 3 plus root 5 divided by root 5, and to solve this particular question, it will just be good for us to say break it down to this: root 3 over root 5, okay, plus root 5 over root 5. Immediately we do that, you can see that, yeah, you can see that the symmetry is coming out already, because like in the first case, if you multiply both numerator and denominator by root 5, okay, and then yeah, root 5 over root 5 is just 1, because this numerator and denominator are the same, so they will cancel out. Then in that case, we can see that all we're having is root 3 multiplied by root 5 is root 15, okay, then over root 5 multiplied by root 5 is just as if you're having this root 5 raised to power 2, and we are still having our plus 1 here. So this is the same as root 15 over square root of 5 then raised to power 2 is just 5, because it's like you're having 5 raised to power 1 over 2 multiplied by 2. So this power can cancel out, and this will just give us 5. Okay, so that's just similar thing there. Then we can say this plus 1. If we just rearrange, you know, this is the same thing as 1 plus 1 over 5 multiplied by root 15. And you can now see that this is exactly looking like x plus y root 15, in which, look at it, we can now say our x is equal to what is 1, and y is equal to 1 over 5. But what are we asked to find? We're asked to find x plus y. Please don't just make the mistake that now I've gotten the answer but it's not there in the option. No, we're asked to find x plus y. So therefore x plus y will be 1 plus 1 over 5. That's one whole number, 1 over 5. And looking at the options, we can see option C is giving us that. So option C, 1 over 1 over 5, is the correct solution to this particular question in Surds. In this question, we are told that if x is equal to 3 and y is equal to minus 1, evaluate 2 multiplied by x squared minus y raised to power 3. At first glance, this question looks like, why are they asking this kind of simple question? But there is something you need to watch out for. Look at what we are asked to find. We are told that, okay, first x is 3, y is minus 1. But what we need to find is, we have to find 2 into x squared minus y raised to power 3. Now, if we just substitute the values that we should put there, we can say this is 2 into x is 3, so we have 3 raised to power 2 minus, what's the value of y? Y is minus 1 raised to power 3. Okay, now this is the correct way to express this, and the question now is that how do we express minus 1 raised to power 3? That's where students most likely will make mistake. As a rule of thumb, let me just know that minus 1 raised to power 3 is minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1. Okay, in the first case, A negative number multiplying a negative number will give us a positive number. So we have this to be 1 times, because this minus 1 times minus 1 is 1. That's a positive number. Then we still have 1 times minus 1. So now, a positive number multiplied by a negative number is going to give a negative number. In short, as a rule of thumb, a negative number, raised to power an odd number will always give you a negative number. Just note this, please. Whenever you're working, put this at the back of your mind. If you have a negative number and you are raising it to an odd power, that's always going to give you a negative number. So if you are to actually watch that, then this particular question will yield 2 multiplied by 3 raised to power 2 is 9, okay, minus 1 raised to power 3, we have gotten it to be minus 1, okay. And now again, look at this. We are now having our question to be, what we are having is this. We have 2 multiplied by 9, minus times minus is now going to give us plus. So we have 2 multiplied by 9 plus 1. That will be 2 multiplied by 10, because by reason of BODMAS or PEMDAS, we need to carry out the operation in the bracket first, okay. So 10 times 2, that is now going to give us 20. And from the options, we can see option C is 20, and that is the correct solution to this question. We just need to note how we carry out the power of our negative number, and we'll be done and dusted with this type of question. All right. In this question, we are to solve 3x minus 2y is equal to 10 and x plus 3y is equal to 7 simultaneously. All right. So I think I would love to use substitution method. It's been a while that I lay attempt on that. But in the first case, we have 3x minus 2y. You can use whatever method is quite easy for you just to solve it. Well, x plus 3y is equal to 7. So if I call this equation 1, I call this equation 2. This is what I'm going to do. From equation 2, I can find the expression for x to be, when this minus 3y, when this 3y moves to the right hand side, it becomes minus 3y, okay? So I can use this. If I call this equation 3, I can use that equation 3 in 1, okay? I use equation 3 in 1 to yield 1 will now be 3 multiplied by, instead of writing x now, I will write 7 minus 3y, all right? Okay, then this minus 2y is equal to 10. If I open this bracket, 3 times 7, that is 21. 21 times 3 times minus 3y is minus 9y, okay? Then this minus 2y is equal to 10. Then, if I want to take that further, and just rule my board to say, now, minus 9y minus 2y is minus 11y, okay? This is 10. When 21 moves to the right hand side, that will be minus 21, so that minus 11y is equal to minus 11, and if I divide both sides by minus 11, this is interesting, okay? I can see that minus 11 cut minus 11, minus 11 cut minus 11, so that y is equal to 1. Please notice that negative numbers dividing each other, and that's why I'm having a positive number, okay? So y is 1, but from this particular expression that I figured that I can say x will be 7 minus 3y. So if I want to put in the value for y, that will be 7 minus 3 multiplied by 1. So that will be 7 minus 3 times 1 is 3, so that x is 4. So I have the two values here. Y is 1, x is 4. And looking at the options that we're given, you can state the value for x first. X is 4. So of course it's not option A, it's not option B, it's not option C. X is 4, okay. Y is 1, okay. That is option D. And if you just want to confirm, you can take any of the equation like in the first case, 3x will now be 12, okay, minus, that will be 12 minus 2 times y is 1, that will be minus 2, so this is 10, which is corresponding to 10 here. In the second case, x is 4, okay, plus 3 times y is 1, so that is plus 3, and that will be 7, and of course this is also correct. So the correct solution to this question here is option D. Here in this question, we're told that the implication if x then y is equivalent to what? Which of the following options is equivalent to the statement if x then y? Now, this is a classical question on logic, and particularly it is a question that is aimed on implication of logic. Now, we'll take just a case scenario that will help us to correctly interpret this and pick the correct answer, and that is let's consider a case in which it is raining. So if we are taking x to be the consideration that it is raining, and considering y, we can take that y will be that I am drenched, okay, drenched with the rain. So if we want to get our truth table, we can look at our truth table like here we have x, then we have y. Then we need to consider this implication x if x then y, okay, that's the appropriate interpretation. So if you just want to look at this, we look at case scenarios, the possible case scenarios that can take place with all this consideration. And okay, let's say initially if x is true, or in the second case is true, or if it is false, because these are the combinations that we can have. So in the first case, if x is true and y is also true, okay, if x is true and y is false, if x is false and y is true, if x is false and y is false, okay. So these are the considerations that we need to look at to be able to correctly scope this question, so that we can really get the correct solution out of all this. Now, this is what is going to happen. Looking at this definition that we're having, if it is raining, okay, if x, then I am drenched. Of course, that is true. So if x, then y is true, okay. If it is raining, then I am not drenched. That is not possible. If it's raining and I'm in the rain, then definitely I'm going to be drenched. So this particular case will have to be false, okay. So in the third case, if it is not raining, I am drenched. I may be drenched through some other means. Maybe there's a vehicle that splashed some water to me. Maybe I was passing through a water tank that just got full and was pouring over me. Then it's possible that this statement is true, okay. Then if it is not raining, I am not drenched. Of course, that is also true. If it's not raining, of course, there is no way I'm going to get drenched. Then this particular speculation that if x and y is going to be true. So we have this truth table that we can consider if we look at all these options that we have. Originally, the correct answer will be this option A, but I just want to spell it out by examining the truth table for not y. If not y, then not x, okay. So let's look at that. Now we want to consider if not y, okay, then if not x, then we are looking at the truth table. If not y, then not x, okay. So these are the other factors that we need to look at to consider to be able to solve this correctly. And yeah, let's try and do that. So if I am not drenched, okay, let me just populate this first. So in the first case, we are looking at if not y to be true, true, false, and false. Then if not x, we have true, false, true, and false. So in this particular first case, if I'm not drenched, then it's not raining. Of course, that is going to be true, okay. Now, in fact, we don't need to stress ourselves. As a rule of thumb, just look at these two. Look at this. In the first case, we have true, true, true. So this is also being replicated there, true, true, true. In the second case, we have true, false, resulting in false. So This true and false will also result in a false, okay? False and truth will result in a truth, okay? And false will result in truth, false and false result in truth. Alright, so now having come up with that table, now if you need to just consider this particular table here, this table, and look at this table, you can see that actually the truth table is the same for the two. We have TTT here, TTT, TFF, TFF, FTT, FFT, FTT, and FFT. So that means that for the question that we are being asked, we can see that if X then Y is equivalent to, if not Y, then not X. And that is why option A is the correct one. It's a classical question on logic, and this is the right approach to take to solve it. In this question, we are told that the first term of a geometric progression, that is a GP, is 3, and the fifth term is 48. We are to find the common ratio. The formula that will help us to eventually solve this is to find the formula for the nth term of a geometric progression, and that is given as A multiplied by R raised to power n minus 1, where A is the first term, okay, is the first term, and R is a common ratio, which we are asked to find in this particular question. So we are given two case scenario. In the first case, we are told that the first term is 3, so already we are told A is 3, alright. Then we are told that the fifth term is 48. Fifth term will around that T5 is equal to 48. But originally, by reason of this formula, we know that T5 actually should yield AR raised to power 5 minus 1, because it's the fifth term, that's why n is 5. So this implies that we have 48 is equal to, what's the value of A? That is 3, then multiplied by R raised to power 5 minus 1 is 4, okay? So if you divide both sides by 3, you'll see that to the right hand side, the 3 will cut, and then 48 over 3, that will be 16. So we can say our R raised to power 4 is equal to 16, such that R will be the fourth root of 16. The fourth root of 16 means that we are looking for a number that we can multiply in 4 places to yield 16, and that is 2, because 2 times 2, that's 4 times 2, that's 8 times 2, that's 16. You can see this is 2 in 4 places. So the fourth root of 16 is 2, and that warrants that for the question, the solution, the common ratio we're asked to find is 2, and that's option A. Alright. In this question, we are to solve for this inequality that 1 over 3 multiplied by 5 minus 3x is less than 2 over 5 multiplied by 3 minus 7x. So we can just directly write this as a numerator over denominator, like here. 1 times the whole of this will still retain that, so we'll still have 5 minus 3x. Then the denominator, that is 3, is less than 2 times the whole of the numerator, so we have 2 times 3 minus 7x over 5, which is the denominator. And with this is well simplified so that we can just cross multiply, okay? So if you are to cross multiply, in that case we are going to say this 5, that is the denominator on the right hand side, will multiply this numerator on the left hand side. So we have 5 multiplied by 5 minus 3x is less than, here, this 3 that is the numerator on the left hand side will multiply the whole of the, this 3 that is the denominator on the left hand side will multiply the whole of the numerator on the right hand side. So we have 3 times 2 already, that is 6, then multiply by 3 minus 7x. Alright, so you can just open up the bracket. 5 times 5, that is 25. 5 times minus 3x is minus 15x, and this is less than 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times minus 7x is minus 42x, and we can easily just collect the like terms, like minus 42x will come to the left hand side, 25 will go to the right hand side. So in that case, we will have minus 15x plus 42x is less than 18 minus 25. You can see the inequality sign is not changing because we are not dividing by a negative number. The only point in which this inequality sign will change is if we are dividing or multiplying both sides by a negative number, but so far we don't need to carry out that. So we have minus 15x plus 42x, that will be 27x, okay, is less than 18 minus 25, that will be minus 7. And to solve this, you can just divide both sides by 27, and we can see if you are to do that, this 27 here will cut out this, and then our x will be less than minus 7 over 27, okay. And looking at the options that we have, we can see that that is option D, corresponding to x is less than minus 7 over 27. So that's the correct answer to this question. In this question, we are told to make m the subject of the relation k is equal to the square root of m minus y over m plus y. Now, if you want to make m the subject of the relation, that means that we should write the relation in such a way that we are having only m on the left hand side to be equal to all the other variables in whatever form they are going to be relating with one another. Okay, so looking at this question, we are giving this that k is equal to the square root of m minus y over m plus 1. The first thing we need to do is, for us to be able to extract m, we need to knock out this particular square root, and to do that we need to square both sides. So if we are squaring both sides, we can say we are bringing power of 2 to k, we are also bringing the power of 2 to the right hand side. So these two will cancel out this square root, such that we are going to have k square is equal to m minus y over m plus 1. Okay, it's as if we are having k over 1, such that we can say we want to cross multiply, and by cross multiplying we are now going to have it as k raised to power 2 multiplied by m plus 1 is equal to 1 multiplied by m minus y is m minus y. Okay, that's not done. We are still going to continue that. Then now if we open this bracket, we can say we have m multiplied by k raised to power 2, because k raised to power 2 times m is the same as this. Okay, then plus k raised to power 2 times 1, that is k raised to power 2, is equal to m minus y. In this particular case, let's collect the like terms, okay, the one that are similar, let's bring them together, and we are going to have something like this. Let m move to the left hand side. We have m k square minus m, okay, is equal to minus y minus k raised to power 2. Because when this k raised to power 2 moves to the right hand side, it becomes minus. Okay, so now looking at this, you can see that on the left hand side, m is common to both, so I can just write a singular m. Then I will have this m multiplied by k raised to power 2 divided by m, it will be remaining only k raised to power 2, okay, minus m divided by m, that will be 1, okay, is equal to minus y minus k raised to power 2. So for me to just eliminate and have only m, I can divide both sides by k raised to power 2 minus 1, so that m will now be minus y minus k square over k square minus 1. But looking at the options that we have, is there anything looking like that? Really, we can consider that it is D, because look at this. This is the key thing. If I factor out minus here, and I have this as y plus k raised to power 2, okay, over, in this particular case, I can say this is also minus multiplied by 1 plus k square, okay, or let me write it in the order that it's given. Minus 1 multiplied by, yes, is 1 minus k raised to power 2, so that these two negative numbers, these two negative signs, they will just cancel out, and then m will be y plus k raised to power 2 over 1 minus k raised to power 2. It's because we don't have this format of the answer in the options that we are given. That's why we needed to factor out the negative number to have a similar relation in the options that we are given. And looking at all the options, we can see that option B, no, I was saying D the other time, that's not it. Option B, y plus k raised to power 2 over 1 minus k raised to power 2 is the correct answer. And that's how you carry out questions on subject of relation or change of subject of formula, just like this. So the option B is the correct answer. In this question, we are to find the quadratic function whose roots are 1 over 2 and minus 1 over 3. That implies that since we are using x as a variable, that statement implies that we are being told that x is equal to 1 over 2 or x is equal to minus 1 over 3. And this is the starting point for us to actually bring these two together. And this is what we do. We take this half and this minus 1 over 3, move them to the left hand side and multiply the two factors together, so that we have here, it will be x minus 1 over 2 is equal to 0, because when 1 over 2 moves to the other side, it becomes minus, okay? Or we have here x plus 1 over 3. When this minus 1 over 3 moves to the left hand side, it becomes plus, so that is equal to 0. So for us to just get the quadratic function, we need to combine the two. It's like we are reverse engineering the solution to quadratic equations that we normally do. So in that case, we just say this is x minus 1 over 2 multiplied by x plus 1 over 3 is equal to 0. Okay, so we can open our bracket now. X times x, that will be s squared. Okay, x times 1 over 3, that will be plus x over 3. Okay, then minus 1 over 2 times x, that will be minus x over 2, because 1 times x is x, then 2 at the denominator. Then minus 1 over 2 times 1 over 3. The negative and the positive number will multiply to give a negative number. Okay, then 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 3, that is 6, is equal to 0. Before you say you want to go ahead and trying to find the LCM, this is the ideal thing to do. Just multiply both sides by 6. Okay, so this also multiply by 6. We know any number multiplied by 0 will still be 0. So in this case, we can just say this is 6s squared. Okay, then here 6 multiplied by x over 3. The 3 will cut 6 to give us 2, so we have plus 2x. Alright, then here 6 divided by 2, that will be 3, so we have minus 3x, because we still need to maintain this negative sign. Okay, then here 6 multiplied by minus 1 over 6, that will be 1, so we have minus 1 is equal to 0. And if we just simplify this, we can see this is just 6s squared, then 2x minus 3x, that will be minus x, then we still have minus 1, and that is equal to 0. And this is what we need to look for in the options. Which one is carrying 6s squared minus x minus 1? That's option D, and that is the solution to that. Okay, in this question, we are given that x is directly proportional to y and inversely proportional to z. X is 15 when y is 10 and z is 4. We have to find the equation connecting x, y, and z. Now, this is a question on variation. Okay, and here we are told that x is directly proportional to y and inversely proportional to z. So s is the parent figure here, and we are told that it is directly proportional to y, but inversely proportional to z. That means it is y over z. So here, what it meant is that an increase in y will result to a corresponding increase in x, but an increase in z will reduce the value of x, whereas a decrease in z will increase the value of x. So this is the direct proportion between x and y, and this is the inverse proportion between x and z. Okay, but now we are told to find the equation connecting x, y, and z. given this, but we have a case scenario in which we are told that x is 15 when y is 10 and z is equal to 4. For us to turn this variation into an equation, we need to introduce a constant of proportionality, and we can call that k. Okay, so we can say x is equal to k multiplied by y over z. All right, so this is the equation, this is the relation that we need to find out to answer the question correctly. But before that, we need to find the value of k, and to get the value of k, we just need to input those parameters that were given, that x is 15 when y is 10 and z is equal to 4. So if we put all these parameters into this particular equation, we will have 15 is equal to k multiplied by y, that's multiplied by 10, over z, that is 4. Okay, so in this case we can say 2 can go in 10 and 2 can go in 4. We are going to have 5 over 2, and if we solve this, we can say we now want to cross multiply such that we have k will be 15 times 2 over 5. 15 times 2 over 5, we can still use 5 to cut, so our k is equal to 3 times 2, that is 6. But what we need to note is this particular relation, and if we want to put the value of k now, we can just say the equation connecting x, y and z is given as x is equal to the value of k, that is 6, okay, multiplied by y over z. Okay, and looking at the options that we have, we can see that option A corresponds to this answer, that x is 6y over z. That's the solution. Here in this question, we're told that two buses start from the same station at 9 a.m. and they travel in opposite directions along the same straight route. Now, the first bus travels at a speed of 72 kilometers per hour and the second travels at a speed of 48 kilometers per hour. We are to find the time when they will be 240 kilometers apart. Okay, and let's try and interpret this question correctly so that we'll be able to answer it as appropriate. Here, if we have the straight road, okay, and we have two buses, okay, that's a small representation, and then the other bus moving in the other direction. Okay, let's just take that as representation of our buses. Now, we are told that at 9 o'clock, okay, so let's say initially this is the initial starting point, and the time now is 9 a.m. at this point. Okay, so one is traveling at a speed of 72 kilometers per hour. So here we can say he is going at 72 kilometers per hour, and then the other bus is going at a speed of 48 kilometers per hour. So we need to find the time when they will be 240 kilometers apart. When they will be 240 kilometers apart means that at this point, the distance between the two buses is going to be 240 kilometers. Okay, so distance between the first bus and the second bus. So distance between the first bus. So distance between the first bus and the second bus is going to be 240 kilometers. Okay, so we need to find the time when this will be taking place. Okay, so what we need to know is that in the question we are given the speed and we are looking for the time. There is a formula that relates the two together, that speed is actually distance over time. Okay, that's the definition of speed. Physics students will easily relate with this, but of course it's also applicable for those of us who are not physics students. But now, since they are starting from the same position, they are going to spend the same time on the road. So for the first one, we can say, let's look at, if we call this the bus 1, I'll call this the bus 2. Okay. Now, if speed is distance over time, then the distance traveled will be speed multiplied by the time. Now, what we need to note in this case is that it is the same amount of time that each of the buses will take. So, the time it will take for the first bus to cover whatever distance it has covered, and the time it will take for the second bus to cover whatever the distance it has covered is going to be the same. But now the distance is going to be different because they are running at different speed. But we know the total speed to be 240 kilometers. So in that case, if we use t as a time, then we can say that the distance covered by the vehicle A will be 72 multiplied by t, okay? And the distance covered by the second bus will also be 48 multiplied by t. And the total of those two distances will have been given to be 240 kilometers. Now, this is the interpretation that will really allow us to be able to solve this question as appropriate. So, 72 plus 48, 2 plus 8, that is 10, remaining 1. 7 plus 4 is 11, plus that 1 is 120. So, we have 120t is equal to 240, okay? So, that t, the time will be 240 over 120, and that will be 2 hours. Remember, we're talking about hours. But they didn't ask us the amount of time. They said, at what time would they be 240 kilometers away? Remember, they started by 9 a.m. So, if they start by 9 a.m., then the time they will be 240 kilometers away, the time that they will be 240 kilometers away will be 9 a.m. plus that 2 hours that we just got, okay? And 9 plus 2, that will give us 11 a.m. And looking at the options we have, you can see option C, that is 11 a.m. We just need to understand that speed is distance over time, and in that case, distance will be speed multiplied by time, okay? And the total distance from by the two will be the speed of each one multiplied by the time. And since they are taking the same time, so we can use t for that. And solving for t, we can add that amount of time, which is 2 hours that they spend on the road, to the time that they started, which is 9 a.m. and we'll get 11 a.m. So option C is the correct answer. In this question, we're told that a solid cuboid has length 7 centimeters, width 5 centimeters, and height 4 centimeters. We have to calculate its total surface area. For us to really get this, it will be good if you can just have a view of what the cuboid looks like, because it will really help to actually clarify and solve this type of questions. So if we have, let's say we have just a diagram like that, and we're having the other side trying to depict the diagram for a cuboid, okay? It's a solid shape, and so this is what generally we have. And you can see we have, like, I can say we have 3 sides. So if you have, this is 1, 2, and 3. So now this is what I want you to note. If you can take this particular place, if you say this is the length of the cuboid, here we have the length, this is the width, and this is the height. You can see that this is a replication of these 3 sides. The cuboid is a replication of these 3 sides. So if we really want to find out the total surface area of a cuboid, it's going to be 2 multiplied by the length and the height, okay? Because here we have length, width, and height. So let's just wait with that. Let's be consistent with that. So it's going to be the length times the height, okay? The length times the height, plus the height times the width, the height times the width, plus again the length and the width, the length and the width. All right. Now, because we are just showing 3 here, we also have a replica of that at the other side. If I can just show that, let's say I just want to show that very, very faintly. We have something like this. Okay. So this is actually the representation of the cuboid. Okay, so the total surface area is 2 times the length and the height plus the height multiplied by the width plus the length multiplied by the width. So that's what we just need to input into this particular formula for us to get the total surface area of this cuboid, and that's going to give us 2. What's the length? The length is 7 multiplied by, what's the height? That is 4. Okay, so we have this first plus the height multiplied by the width. The height is 4 multiplied by the width is 5. Okay, plus again the length is 7 multiplied by the width we are given to be 5. So this is the consistency that will give us the correct solution, and we are going to have 2 multiplied by 7 times 4 is 28. Okay, plus 4 times 5, that is 20, plus 7 times 5, that is 35. So we need to add these 3 entries. 28 plus 20, that will be 48. And 48 plus 35, we want to evaluate that. 8 plus 5, that is 13, remaining 1. 4 plus 3, that is 7 plus 1, that is 83. So this is the same as 2 times 83. And 2 times 83 is, 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 8, that is 16 centimeters square. Okay, so if you look at the options that we're given, we can see that option B is corresponding to this answer, that it is 166 centimeters square. All right. In the diagram, PQ, line PQ is parallel to line SR. So this is PQ and this is SR, and we're told that they are parallel. That is what these double arrows are also indicating. Okay, you can see the same double arrow on PQ is also on SR. That is telling us that these two lines are parallel, meaning that they can never meet at any point. They are only running parallel to one another, but we have to find the value of x in this particular location. Now, depending on your choice, there are a number of ways you can go about trying to solve this. For example, you can choose to draw another parallel line here. Okay, and say this line is also parallel to the two lines PQ and SR. And in that case, if it is parallel, look at this angle X and this particular angle here, they will also be equal because these are alternate angles. You can see they form something like Z. Okay, so one here, another here. These are alternate angles. And also in the same respect, this 68 and this angle here, they are also equal just because they are also alternate angles. And you can see now you have this to be 68, you have this to be X. If you look at this particular point, all of these angles, they meet at the point, and we know that the sum of angles at a point, it is 360 degrees. So we can say 68 plus X plus 246 is equal to 360 degrees, such that in that case you can now say X will be 360 degrees minus the sum of 68 and 246. We have 246 and 68. 6 plus 8, that is 14, remaining 1. 4 plus 6, that is 10, plus the other 1, that's 11. Then 2 plus 1, that's 3. So 360 minus 314 degrees, and that will give us nothing but, so that will be 46 degrees, which is option B. Okay, now that's one way to go about it. Alternatively, let me also show us another way. Alternatively, you can say, look at this particular line. You can say we want to extend it to Q. So from S, I can just say I want to extend this line and just go about it like this. So now, looking at this, I'm now having a triangle PQ to this particular point, and now on this line emanating from S to this, we know this is 180 degrees. So in that case, this angle is going to be 246 minus 180. So I can now say that's 246 degrees minus 180 degrees. 6 minus 0, that is 6. Then I need to borrow 1 here. 14 minus 8, that is also 6. So this particular place is 66 degrees. Alright. But then that's not all. I can also look at this angle 68 here, and I can say this place is also going to give me 68. Why? Because this angle that I'm shading in red and this angle here, they are alternate angles. So if I'm doing that, I can now say, look at this now. I have 3 angles. I have X, I have 66, and I have 68. And they constitute angles of a triangle. And the sum of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So that X plus 66 plus 68, and say just 66 and 68, 68, okay? 6 and 8, that's 14, remaining 1. 6 and 6, that's 12. That will be 134. So plus 134 is equal to 180 degrees. So X will be 180 minus 134. And you want to solve that, 10 minus 4, because I'm taking 1 from it to add up to this. 10 minus 4, that is 6. So this is remaining 7. 7 minus 3, that is 1. And you can see, again, we also arrive at option B as the correct answer. So these are just various ways you can go about. But once you just understand the concept of parallel lines and the transversal and the angles included there, you'll be able to just solve these questions easily as you go. And the more you practice, the better you are going to become. So the answer to this question is option B. So in this question, we are told to find the equation of the line which is parallel to this equation 2y is equal to 3 into bracket x minus 2 and also passes through the point 2, 3. Now, as a rule of thumb, whenever we are talking about two lines that are parallel or even perpendicular to each other, in the first case, if we are talking about parallel lines, okay, for parallel lines, the slope of the two, we amount that the slope of the first line is equal to the slope of the second line, okay? But for perpendicular lines, for two perpendicular lines, there is a relationship between their slope also that is giving us the product of their slopes, m1 and m2 is equal to minus 1, alright? But generally, there is a general format for the equation of a straight line that is giving us y is equal to mx plus c, where y and x are the two variables. M is the slope, okay, that's the gradient of the line, and c is the intercept on the y-axis, okay. So that's a guide for us to be able to solve this question. But here we are given an equation 2y is equal to 3 into x minus 2. If you can express that equation like this, we can easily get the slope, and then we can compute this particular point that we are giving with the slope to get the equation of the line that we are being asked for, okay. So let's just take this particular one first. Maybe I will need to just bring my board into 2. I will have quite good amount of space to work with. So now, in the first case, we are giving 2y is equal to 3 into x minus 2. Now, if we are to just open this bracket, we'll have it as 2y is equal to 3 times x is 3x, 3 times minus 2 is minus 6, such that if we want to write only y to stand alone, we can divide both sides by 2. So, in the left hand side, we have only y remaining. On the right hand side, we have 1 over 2 into 3x minus 6, meaning that we divide each of these entities by 2, and in that case, y will be 3 over 2x, then minus 6 over 2, that will be minus 3. Now, comparing this to the equation of the straight line, that general equation, y equals to mx plus c, we can see that from here, our m is equal to 3 over 2. The intercept is minus 3, but we don't need that. But now, having found m to be 3 over 2, in the question, we're giving point 2, 3, okay? So we're giving x1 comma y1 to be 2 comma 3, and already we have found our m to be 3 over 2. If you want to use the general format of the equation of a straight line, the slope format, you can say y minus y1 over x minus x1 is equal to m. Okay, therefore if you just put in all these values, y is the variable minus y1, the value of y1 is now 3. Okay, this is x comma y, so y in this case is 3. Okay, over x minus the value of x1, that is 2, that is equal to the slope that we got, which is 3 over 2. So all we need to do is just to express this particular equation linearly by cross multiplying, so that we can get our options out of all these that we are given. So if you want to just do that, you can see that we have 2 multiplied by y minus 3 is equal to 3 multiplied by x minus 2. Let's just open the bracket. This will give us 2y minus 2 times minus 3 is 6 is equal to 3 times x is 3x, then 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. Wow, interestingly. Okay, this is quite interesting because this minus 6 and this minus 6, if we move any to the other side, that will become positive and they will knock out. So we have 2y is equal to 3x, therefore y will be 3 over 2x. Now, what's the implication of this? Look at this. That means that the intercept C is 0. And that is just a clear indication that it is passing through the origin. Okay, there's no intercept on the y-axis. It's just a straight line passing through the origin, and that is 3 over 2x. And looking at the options that we are given, you can see option C is equating to that. Y is equal to 3 over 2x, and that is the solution to this particular question. In this question, we are being asked that the expression 5x plus 3 over 6x into bracket x plus 1 will be undefined when s equals what? Okay, now whenever we are coming across questions like this, the expression will be undefined when the denominator is equal to 0. Okay, is when the denominator is equal to 0, that's when the expression will be undefined, because we'll have, in that case, we'll just have something, a number over 0, and this will be like infinity. That is not defined, that's not specific. It's just a number that is quite large. We don't know the number, it's just undefined. So yeah, for this particular expression here, that means we need to say 6x into bracket x plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, and in that case, it's either we have 6x to be 0, or on the other hand, we have it that x plus 1 is equal to 0. If 6x is 0, and of course 6 is a number, we don't know what x is, then x will definitely be, in that case, 0, or here x will be minus 1. So the solution is that x will be 0 or minus 1 for this particular expression to be undefined. And if you look at the options, you can see option B is pointing out to that it is either x is 0 or x is minus 1 that will make this expression undefined. So option B is the correct answer. A man is 5 times as old as his son. In 4 years' time, the product of their ages would be 340. Now, if the son's age is y, we have to express the product of their ages in terms of y. So we have 2 case scenarios that we need to look at here. First, today, in this present age, and notice that we have been given that the son's age is y. So son, let the son be y. Then we are told that the man is 5 times as old as his son. Then let's just say then the man is 5 times as old as the son will mean 5y. Okay, if the son is y, the man is 5 times as old as his son. Okay, so we have defined that. But we're also told that in 4 years' time, so 4 years later, just like all those films that we used to watch, I say 4 years later, 3 years later. Now, looking at 4 years later, the product of their ages would be 340. Now, what's the product of their ages? The product of their ages will be the multiplication of the two ages, but in 4 years' time, the son will be y plus 4, because he would have added 4 years to his age, and then the man will also be 5y plus 4. So that 5 multiplied by y will not be tenable in 4 years' time, because both of them would have added 4 years to each of their age. So now we are told that the product of those ages will be 340. So that is in 4 years' time. So meaning that the product of the son y plus 4 multiplied by the man 5y plus 4, that product is going to be what? We said it would be 340. So what we have to do is to express the product of their ages in terms of y. So you can see already we are having the format of the options that we are given. We just need to open up this bracket by saying y multiplied by 5y, that will be 5y squared. Okay, y multiplied by 4 will be 4y. Okay, 4 multiplied by 5y, 4 times 5 is 20, and we'll still retain that y. Okay, then 4 multiplied by 4, that will be 16, is equal to 340. Let's just move everything to the left hand side and simplify further. So here we can have this as 5y squared, 4y plus 20y will be plus 24y, okay, then plus 16 minus 340 is equal to 0, because we have moved 340 to the left hand side, so it will become minus. All right, so if you just want to totally simplify this, this will just be 5y squared plus 24y. Now if you have plus 16 minus 340, that will be minus 324. I'm spying on the options that we're having already, and I can see that this particular expression is nothing but what we are given in option D. 5y squared plus 24y minus 324 is equal to 0. What we need to note is that I think particularly this particular explanation we need to keep in check after we have gotten the fact that the man is 5 years as old as his son today. Then in 4 years' time, we need to add 4 to the age of each of them. And opening up the bracket to give a product of 340, we can solve the question and we're as good as done. All right. In this question, we are to simplify a over b minus b over a minus c over a. Look at this: a, b, c, b, a, b. Interesting. Okay, so we have a over b minus b over a minus c over b. A simple slam and dunk question on fractions. So let's find the LCM. Looking at the denominators, you can see we only have a and b as featuring there. So if we put ab as the denominator, and you can see that's consistent with all the options we have. So ab divided by b, the b will cancel, remaining a. So a times a, that will be a square. All right, now ab divided by a here, that is this denominator divided by this denominator here, that will be ab over a. The a's will cancel, that will be only b. So b times b will be minus b square. All right, now ab over b here, the b's will cancel, remaining a times c will be minus ac. Okay, so if we look at the options that we have, wow, this is quite slam and dunk. Option D is corresponding to that correct answer, and that's why we have a square minus b square minus ac over ab. That is the solution to this question. In the diagram, XYZ, this is XYZ, is an equilateral triangle of size 6 centimeters, and T is the midpoint of XY. Okay, we have to find the tangent of angle XZT. Let's identify all this information that we are being given. First, we are told that this triangle is equilateral, meaning that this side, and this third side they are equal. Okay. However, we are told that T, this point T, is the midpoint of XY. So this point T being the midpoint means that it divides this line into two equal parts. So the length of this will also be the length of this. Alright. Now we are told that each of the sides is actually 6 centimeters. So if we are to label that, we have this as 6 centimeters, we have this as 6 centimeters, and then here is also 6 centimeters. But now we have been told that they are divided into two equal parts. So this will be 3 centimeters and this will be 3 centimeters. Alright. Then we are to find the tangent of angle XZT. So let's find that X, this is X, then Z, this is Z, then T. So the tangent we are supposed to find is this particular one. We can call it theta. Alright. Now we can see that this is a right angle here. Already, this is a right angle in which we can use the trigonometry identity SOHCAHTOA to find the tangent. Okay. So to get the tan of the angle we are looking for, we can say it is tan theta. But from trigonometry identity, we know SOHCAHTOA, tan is opposite over the adjacent. Okay. And for this particular question, the opposite is 3. But now look at this. We don't know the adjacent. This is the adjacent. The longest side is the hypotenuse. The side facing the angle is the opposite. And this third side is the adjacent. We don't know. We can call that x. Okay. This is x. So let's say 3 over x. Now, how do we find our x? We can use Pythagoras theorem. Okay. By Pythagoras theorem, let me just abbreviate that. By Pythagoras theorem, we know that the square of the hypotenuse, 6 raised to the power 2, is the sum of the square of the opposite, 3 raised to the power 2, and the square of the adjacent, x raised to the power 2. Okay. So if we are to solve that, that means that x square is 6 square minus 3 square. Alright. 6 raised to the power 2 is 36. 3 raised to the power 2 is 9. 36 minus 9, that is 27. So s itself is going to be the square root of 27. And square root of 27 is the square root of 9 times 3, which is 3 root 3, because square root of 9 is 3. Okay. So that square on top of 9 have been taken care of. We just only have this other root that is remaining. Okay. So now we have gotten x to be 3 root 3, but nobody asks us for that. Then we can say the tan theta, which is the tangent of the angle XZT that we are asked to find, is going to be 3 over x. Now we can say that x is 3 root 3. Okay. Now if we are to do this, we can say this 3, we cancel this 3, such that the tan of the angle we are asked to find, of angle XZT, is equal to 1 over root 3. Alright. And looking at the options, we can see option A, that is 1 over root 3. This is quite interesting. Okay. Is our understanding of SOHCAHTOA and our understanding of the Pythagoras theorem that was applied there, that helped us to solve this question correctly to get our answer as 1 over root 3. A fence 2.4 meters tall is 10 meters away from a tree of height 16 meters. We have to calculate the angle of elevation of the top of the tree from the top of the fence. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So this is like a pictorial view of what we should be looking at. Okay. And in looking at it like that, we have this. Let's say this is our horizontal ground. Okay. We are told that the fence, which is 2.4 meters tall. So here, this is the fence. This is the fence. It is 2.4 meters tall. So this height is 2.4 meters. Okay. And then it is 10 meters away from the tree. So the distance between the fence and the tree here is 10 meters. Okay. But the tree is of height 16 meters. So from the ground level up, from here down, this was given as 16 meters. Okay. Now we are told to calculate the angle of elevation of the top of the tree from the top of the fence. So what we're being asked is this, that if somebody is now making some observations from the top of this fence, let's say somebody is observing just like this, is looking at the top of the tree. So if you are looking at the top of the tree, normally the eye should look just straight, okay, but that is to the horizontal, that is without the angle of elevation. But now if you are bringing the angle of elevation in, that means the person will be looking from here to the top of the tree, okay. So now looking at this, we are to calculate the angle of elevation of the top of the tree, of this tree top here, but from the top of the fence. This is the top of the fence, and this is the angle that we're asked to find. Let's call that theta. I want to tone down this particular diagram so that we can see our information clearly, okay. So yes, this is what we have. Now let me just complete this diagram, because if from the ground level here to the top of the tree is 16 meters, and already from the ground level to the top of the fence is 2.4 meters, then we can find this particular place to be 16 minus 2.4. So 16 meters minus 2.4 meters, that will be 13.6 meters, okay. And here, this particular distance from the position of the observer to the same level on the tree, it's going to be 10 meters, just like the 10 meters that we have gotten here. So we are looking for this particular angle. So relating the angle to the known that we have, this will be the opposite. This side is the opposite to that angle. This 10 meters is the adjacent to the angle, okay. So what is relating the opposite and the adjacent? From our SOHCAHTOA, we recollect SOHCAHTOA. We can see that is the opposite and the adjacent, that tan theta is equal to the opposite over the adjacent, such that our tan theta in this particular question will be, the opposite is what? Is 13.6, okay, over 10. 13.6 over 10 is 1.36, and then theta in that case will be arctan of 1.36. So we need to bring in our calculator. So we are looking for arctan 1.36, okay. So this is 53.67. So this is 53.67 degrees. And if you look at the options that we have, we can see option B is corresponding to that, and it is the fact that we are able to interpret our question correctly and juxtapose the right angle triangle from that particular interpretation of the question. That is what enabled us to be able to say, yes, this is a right angle triangle, and then in that case we can use the trigonometric identity SOHCAHTOA to find the angle in question. So the correct option is option B. Fatih buys milk at X naira per tin, okay, and sells each of the tin at a profit of Y naira. If she sells 10 tins of milk, how much does she receive from the sales? Okay, this is a classical question on commercial mathematics. And looking at this per tin, let's take it piecewise. Per tin, for a tin of milk, we have been told that the cost price is X naira. Okay, that's why we're told that Fatih buys milk at X naira per tin. Okay, then we're told that the profit for a particular tin, just one tin, is Y naira. Okay, now we need to know the selling price so that we can know how much she receives from the sales. And we know that by reason of our understanding of profit and loss, the profit is the selling price minus the cost price. Okay, in this case we are given profit to be Y. Okay, we are looking for the selling price minus X. So if we just rearrange this, the selling price will be X plus Y. Okay, that is in naira, All right, so let me just put that in naira. But this is for 18. This is for 18 now. But we are told that she sells 10 things of milk. Okay, so 10 things of milk, for 10 things of milk, the amount she received from the sales, which is her selling price, will be 10 multiplied by that selling price for a singular entity, which is x plus y. Okay, and you just open the bracket and bring in the unit. That will be 10 multiplied by x plus y. That is the amount she made from the sales of the 10 things of milk. So the correct option, looking at all the options we are given, is option D. Okay, if tan y is positive and sin y is negative, in which quadrant would lie? Now this is talking about trigonometric identity, in which you have our 4 quadrants that students normally take as all students take coffee, and it is depicted like this. Just have a representation of our quadrants, in which we have this as the origin, and this is the positive y, this is the positive x. Okay, then we take our angle starting from the x-axis and going in this anti-clockwise direction. Okay, now this is what we need to note. In the first quadrant, look at this. You can see that we're using the positive values of x and positive value of y. All right, so all trigonometric identities are positive in this place. So we say all. Okay, all are positive here. In this second quadrant, maybe you can just take time to check this out. You will see that we have a positive value of y, but x will be a negative value of x, and down here we'll have a negative value of y. So it had been proven, it had been obtained that in this second quadrant, it is sine that is actually positive. Okay, then in this particular third quadrant, it is t, tangent, that is positive, and here in the last quadrant, the fourth quadrant, it is cosine that is positive. So these are the positive values of what we are looking at, and we want to work with that. We can now look at it to answer this particular question, all right, in which we are told that tan y is positive. Now, generally in this first quadrant, this is the first quadrant here. Let's say 1, 2, second quadrant, okay, third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. So looking at the question we are given, we are told that if tan y is positive and sin y is negative, okay, now in this first quadrant, all are positive. So that will not be answering the question that we are being told, because we know that yes, here tangent is positive, but sine we are being told that it is negative. But here in the first quadrant, it is positive. So it's not in the first quadrant, okay. Then in the second quadrant, we see that the sine is positive. So it's not meeting this criteria because they are saying sin y is negative. But here in the third quadrant, you can see tan is positive and every other one is negative. So of course sine will be negative. So this third quadrant satisfies the condition that if tan y is positive and sin y is negative, that means in this particular case our solution will be option C. It will be option C. A very good acronym for you to understand this is to say that all students take coffee. Okay, all students take coffee. This is a very good acronym to understand, being that in the first quadrant, all are positive. In the second quadrant, sine is positive. In the third quadrant, tangent is positive. And in the fourth quadrant, cosine is positive. That is following the migration of the quadrant from the first quadrant anti-clockwise in that direction. Some other people tend to use acts, okay, like Acts of the Apostles in the Bible, but you know this is in the reverse direction, so you need to be careful whenever you are looking at Acts, because here we have A, okay, C, T, and S. That is in the clockwise. This is for the clockwise, but we're actually taking it anti-clockwise. So the correct option here is option C. The dimension of a rectangular base of a right pyramid are 9 centimeters by 5 centimeters. If the volume of the pyramid is 105 centimeter cube, how high is the pyramid? So we need to have a good understanding of what a right pyramid is looking like, okay? And that is a pyramid in which the apex is pinnacle, okay, is directly above the center of its lower dimension. So if we want to depict that, we have something like this. Let's say we just have the base as was given in the question, and then here this is the midpoint, okay, and just trace that up, and now say we are looking at, so we can take this as the base, okay, that's the base, and that base, we have been told that it has some dimensions, that it is 9 centimeters by 5 centimeters. So if you want to label appropriately, we can look at that labeling and say this is 9 centimeters and this is 5 centimeters, okay? You can see the apex, the peak of the pyramid is directly above the center of the base dimension, okay? But we are told here that the volume of the pyramid is 105 centimeter cube. So volume of this pyramid was given as 105 centimeter cube. But what is the formula for the volume? It is 1 over 3 multiplied by the area of the base shape, okay, multiplied by the height of the pyramid. And in this particular case, we are looking for what? We are looking for the height h, okay, the height from the centroid of the base shape to the apex of the pyramid. So that's what we are looking for. But we are told that the volume is 105 centimeter cube. So if you are to just put in that value directly, you can say this is 105, or just as a rule of thumb, like I love to do, I can make h the subject of the formula. That in this particular case, h will now be 3 multiplied by the volume. I love doing this because it makes my work easy over the area of the base, okay? Now, we are told that V is 105. We can calculate the area. So, if you have to substitute, you can just say H is 3 multiplied by the volume we are given is 105. Then the area, this is a rectangular base. So, the area of the rectangle is length times breadth, which is 9 multiplied by 5. So, we can say this is 9 multiplied by 5. And with this, you can just go ahead and cut out 3 here 1, 3 here 3, 5 here 1, 5 in 105, that is 5 in 10 is 2, 5 remaining, okay, this 5, so 5 in 5, that is 1. So our h, you can see, is given as 21 over 3, and 21 over 3 is nothing but 7. So 7 centimeters happens to be the height of this right pyramid, and looking at the options we are given, that will be option D. Alright. Each interior angle of a polygon is 168 degrees, and we are to find the number of sides of the polygon. Now, as a rule of thumb, there is a general formula to get the sum of the angles of a polygon. Now, look at this question. We're told that each interior angle of a polygon, each one of them being 168, means that it's a regular polygon. So the number of sides is also going to give us the number of interior angles of the polygon. But we know that the sum of angles, some of the interior angles, okay, some of the interior angles of a polygon is given as n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees, or some people prefer to just factor out the 2 in this particular 180 and say it is 2n minus 4 multiplied by 90 degrees. Whichever one you choose is the same thing. This is just same as, okay, you are only factoring out 2 from 180 and bringing them inside. But now we are told that each of the interior angle is 168 degrees. So the total angle will be 168 multiplied by the number of interior angles, which is also n. So for this particular question, we can just say 168 multiplied by n, okay, is also equal to what we can compute from this formula, that n minus 2, okay, multiplied by 180 degrees. So we just need to open up this bracket and solve this directly for us to have 168n is equal to n times 180, that is 180n, minus 2 times 180 is 360 degrees, okay. So if we take 360 to the left hand side so that it will be positive, and we take 168n to the other side, we can have this to be 180n minus 168n is equal to 360 degrees. Now 180n minus 168n, we have this 2, 10 minus 8 is 2, we have 7 minus 6, that is 1, okay. 12n is equal to 360, such that our n will be 360 degrees over 12, and 12 can go here 1, 12 can go here, we have 30. So the number of sides of the polygon as requested is going to be 30, and in that case, option A, 30, is the correct solution to this question. In the diagram, line MN, this is MN, okay, is parallel to line PQ, this is PQ, and that parallel properties of the two is being indicated by these double arrows that are shown on the two lines, okay. Now we're told that angle MNP, so this angle here is 2x, and angle NPQ, so this angle here is 3x minus 50 degrees. We have to find the value of NPQ, okay. There are quite some ways you can go about solving this, but ideally this is just a simple slam and dunk question on alternate angles, because since MN and PQ are parallel, then this line joining the two of them is a transversal, and this is actually featuring two angles, 2x and 3x minus 50, that are alternate angles, okay. Both of them, they are alternate angles. So angle, I'll just say angle MNP and angle MPQ are alternate angles, okay. So the implication of them being alternate angles means that they are equal to each other. So we can say angle MNP is equal to angle NPQ. And now that they are equal means that what is MNP? That's 2x. And what is NPQ? That's 3x minus 50. So if you are to just collect like terms, take minus 50 here and take 2x to the other side, you can just say that means that 50 is equal to 3x minus 2x, and 3x minus 2x is x, so 50 is x, or we can say our x is 50 degrees, okay. But look at the question. Nobody asks us to find the value of x. What are we asked to find? We are asked to find the value of NPQ. So NPQ, okay. So the question that we asked, angle NPQ, that was given as 3x minus 50, will now be, let's substitute the value of x, that will be 3 multiplied by 50, okay, minus 50. 3 times 50, that is equal to 150 degrees, minus 50 to give us 100 degrees, okay. So angle NPQ that we're asked to find is 100, and looking at the options, you can see that is option D. The student may not want to make the mistake that I've solved for x is 50, but looking at all the options, the answer is not there. Let me just move on with my no. You need to get the complete picture of the question you are being asked, and here we are told that we should look for NPQ, which is 3x minus 50, and the solution is 100 degrees. The length of an arc of a circle of radius 3.5 centimeters is 1 whole number 19 over 36 centimeters. We are to calculate correct to the nearest degree the angle subtended by the arc at the center of the circle. If you just want to have a feel of what this is to look like, so that's the circle in question, and we're told that we have the radius of the circle. So if you want to look at that particular radius, okay, so those are the radii, and we can say we are giving this to be 3.5 centimeters, but that the length of this arc is one whole number 19/36 centimeters. For me, I will just convert that to a proper fraction to say that one whole number 19/36 is the same as 1 times 36. That will be 36 plus 19/36. This is the same expression, and we can evaluate it to say 36 plus 19 and 46 plus 9, that's 15. So this is 55/36. So the length of this arc, if we call this point A and point B, the length of this particular arc AB, okay, that was given as 55/36. So what we're asked to find now is to evaluate the angle in this particular case. If I call that angle theta, that's what we're asked. Now, the general formula for the length of an arc is given as theta over 360 multiplied by 2 pi r. Okay, so for me to be looking for the theta, I can just put in the values and evaluate that directly, or alternatively, I can make theta the subject of the formula to say that my theta will now be 360 multiplied by the length of the arc, okay, over 2 pi r. Now let me just try and put in all those values. 360 times the length of the arc, that's 55/36, 55/36, okay. Okay, now times 1/2 pi r, we have 2 times pi originally is 22/7, but because we are dividing it, we are now putting it as a denominator. That will now be 7/22, okay, then multiplied by the radius. The radius was given as 3.5. So this is what we just need to try and see if we can just evaluate and carry out. Let's try and do this manually. 36 here 1, 36 in 360, 10, okay. We have, this is 2 and 3.5 will multiply to give 7, okay. So we have 22, 55 and 10. 11 can go in 22, 2. 11 can go here 5. 2 can go here 1. 2 can go in 10, 5. So theta that we're looking for, is 5 times 5, and that will be 25 degrees. You can see how optionally changing the subject of the formula can help to input all of these values correctly, and you can use your calculator. You see that we are actually going to get the same answer as this, that theta is 25 degrees. But working maybe in an exam like JAMB TME, you don't need to bring your calculator. Just work directly, put in your values, and you will get that the correct answer to this question here is option C, 25 degrees. In the diagram, line PU is parallel to line SR. So this is PU, okay, and SR, they are parallel. So you can see the triple arrows that are showing that these two lines are parallel. PS and TR, they are also parallel. PS and TR, okay, you can see the double arrows, they are showing that they are parallel. And line QS and UR, QS and UR, they are also parallel, okay. So we need to demystify that so that this doesn't look confusing. That's why we are having a single arrow there. So we identified all the parallel lines. We are told that UR is 15 centimeters, UR, that's 15 centimeters, SR is 8 centimeters, SR is 8 centimeters, PS is 10 centimeters, PS is 10 centimeters, and the area of triangle SUR is 24 centimeters square. So SUR, okay. Let me just try and see if I can note that out just lightly. So here triangle SUR, okay, that area was given as 24 centimeters square. We have to calculate the area of PTRS. Let's identify PTRS. That will be, this will be PTRS. Okay, that's a parallelogram. Okay, but we are given this particular triangle that we know the area of the triangle, SUR that we identify was given as 24 centimeter square, but we have to look for the area of the parallelogram that was given as PTRS. Now, how do we use all this formula and all this information that we are given to solve for this? Now, recall this, that the area of a triangle, in this particular case, this type of triangle, is given as half multiplied by the base multiplied by the height. The base of the triangle here is 8 centimeters, and the height, I think if we can get the height, that will help us to solve for the area of the parallelogram, because look at this. From you coming down to this other line, okay, that is the height. I can take it as being at a right angle. Okay, I can say this is h. Okay, so looking at that from here, I can say that my h will be 2 multiplied by the area over the b. Okay, so b had been given as 8 centimeters. That's SR, because we are talking about triangle SUR. Okay, so this base is 8, such that our height will be 2 times area. The area was given as 24 over 8. So we can cut 8 here 1, 8 here 3. So h is nothing but 6 centimeters. Okay, but nobody asks us to find a. We are the ones trying to put that into the correct perspective. What is the area of the parallelogram? The area of the parallelogram, this is interesting, is given as the product of the height and the base also. Okay, so here you can see, look at this parallelogram. We have PTRS. The base is 8 centimeters, not the slant height. Okay, these are the lines that we are taking as parallel to each other, and we are looking at this particular height h of the parallelogram, which is also the same as this. I don't want to make it too complicated, but we can see that this is also that h. All right, so is this h that we are multiplying with this base side. Okay, so if you want to just put in that correct value, we just got the value of h to be 6. So that area that we're being asked is going to be 6 that we just got multiplied by b, which is 8, and 6 times 8 is nothing but 48 centimeter square. Okay, and looking at the options that we have, we can see that option number B is 48 centimeter square, and that is the solution to this particular question. Understanding the formula for the area and the parallelogram will really help us, and it has helped us to solve this question correctly. In the diagram, PRQ is a circle with center O. Okay, if angle OPQ, this angle here is 48 degrees, we have to find the value of M. So our task in this particular question is to find the value of angle M here. Okay, no problem with that. Now looking at this, we will identify that, look at this, this OQ and this OP, they both constitute the radius of this particular triangle OPQ. Okay, and because they are both radii, we can see that they are forming an isosceles triangle. Okay, so OQ, line OQ is equal to line OP, because these are radii of the circle. They are radii of the circle, the same circle, They are coming from the center of the circle to the circumference of the circle. Now, if they are radii like this, that means that triangle OPQ is isosceles. Now, these are quite interesting points to note, because if they are isosceles, then we know that the base angles are going to be equal, because that's the property of isosceles triangle. And here we have been given one of the base angles as 48, so this other angle will also be 48 degrees. Okay, you can see a methodological approach that I'm taking to actually demystify this question. Now, if this is 48 and this is 48, already by reason of the properties of triangles, we can say M is equal to 48 plus 48. Why? Because these are the sum of the exterior angle. M is exterior angle, is the exterior angle of that triangle, and is equal to the sum of the two opposite interior angles. The sum of two opposite interior angles. Okay, so if you want to employ that, you can just say, as good as it is, M will just be 48 plus 48, and that will be 96 degrees. Okay, and that will just be option A as a solution to the question. Alternatively, we could have said, okay, let's find this particular angle here. Okay, this angle, and that will be that angle. If I call this theta, I know then theta will be 180 minus the sum of 48 and the other 48. Why am I saying that? Because the three of them, they are angles of a triangle, and the sum of angles of a triangle is 180. So theta will be 180 minus this other two. Okay, in that case, I will get theta to be 180 minus 96. That will be 84. But then M, after doing that, I can now say M plus theta is equal to 180 degrees. Why? Because look at M and theta, they are angles on a straight line, and the sum of angles on a straight line is 180 degrees. Therefore, our M will be 180 minus theta, and theta will just go to be 84. And in the same way, you will see we arrive at the same answer, that M is also 96 degrees. So these are just various ways that the more you practice, the better you become, the more proficient you get to solve questions like this. You can look at it from various angles as befits you, and you'll be able to also carry out the questions as appropriate. So the correct answer is option A. All right. Here in this question, we're told that the pie chart shows the population of men, women, and children in a city. Okay. Now, if the population of the city, the total, is 1.8 million, okay, we need to find how many men are living in that particular city, how many men are in the city. So here we can see the pie chart, and there are also quite a number of ways you can choose to go about it, but this is what I want to do. By reason of the understanding of angles at a point, we know that the angles at a point, they add up to 360 degrees. Okay, so we can say 120 degrees plus 169. If I call this theta, the angle for men, plus theta, the sum of the three will be 360 degrees. All right. However, I can say theta in that case will be 360 minus the sum of 120 and 169. That will be 189. So if I'm to get that, 10 minus 9 is 1. Here I have 5 remaining. If I take 1 from 3, that will be 15. 15 minus 8, that is 7. Okay. No, this is supposed to be 2, not 189. I'm adding 120 and 169, so that is 2. So this will already, this is 2. You just have this at 71 degrees. So this theta is given as 71 degrees. Now, the total population was given as 1,800. Now, this is what I would really love to do. The total population corresponds to the whole of this pie chart, and that whole of the pie chart is relatable to 360 degrees. So I can say 360 degrees is relatable to 1.8 million. Okay, but now I'm looking for the number of men in which I found the angle to be 71 degrees. I can relate that to men. And for me to have this, I can just say I want to cross multiply this such that men will be 71 times 1.8 million 3, okay, divided by 360 degrees. This is quite a good way to go about it. You could have said that yes, you want to calculate it as a ratio of the total, but it's actually going to amount to this eventually, okay? So 36 here, 136 in 180, this is 5, 1, 2, 3, 5,000, okay? So 71 times 5,000, 71 times 5,000, 1 times 5 is 5, okay? 5 times 7 is 35. Then we have how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, you can see how to evaluate this without using the calculator at all. So looking at the options, you can see option C amounts to 355,000, and first getting the angle corresponding to men and then relating it as a ratio to the total angle, which is relatable to the total population, we can see that we are able to get the number of men in the city to be 355,000. All right. The mean of the numbers 15, 21, 17, 26, 18, and 29 is 21. We are to calculate the standard deviation. For us to be able to solve this, we need to understand the formula for the standard deviation. That the standard deviation is given as the square root, actually the square root of the variance, and that variance is given as the sum of the square of the difference between each data entry and the mean over the total number of entries. Okay, so S bar, that is the mean. So X is each of the consecutive terms in the data that we are giving. Then we square that difference, okay, and we sum them, and then we divide by the total number of elements. So all we need to carry out is a means of identifying this that we'll be needing in the equation. And so if I'm to draw my table, I have X, I have X minus the mean, then the square of X minus the mean. And my data entry, we have 15, 21, 17, 26, 18, and 29. We are going to be summing whatever we got, so we can just do that. Now, our mean was given to us as 21. That's to make our life easy. We don't need to compute that again. So 15 minus 21, that will be minus 6. 21 minus 21 is 0. 17 minus 21, that will be minus 4. 26 minus 21 is 5. 18 minus 21, that will be minus 3. Then 29 minus 21, that will be 8. Okay, so if we are to square these entries, minus 6 raised to power 2 is 36, 0 raised to power 2 is 0, minus 4 raised to power 2 is 16, 5 raised to power 2 is 25, minus 3 raised to power 2 is 9, 8 raised to power 2 is 64. So if you want to just add this, 36 and 16, that will be 4, then 12, that will be 52. 52 and 25, that will be 77. 77 and 9, that will be 86. Then 86 plus 64, then 14, 15. Okay, so that's 150. So here, the sum of this, summation of this data value is 150. So now, you can just go ahead to plug in the correct values for our standard deviation. That will, in this case, be the square root of the sum of this data entry that we have, that's 150, over the total number of entries, that's n. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 over 6. Okay, now the square root of the division of 150 by 6 will yield 25, and the square root of 25 is going to give us 5. So looking at the options, you can see option C, that is 5, and that is the correct solution to this question. In the diagram, O is the center of the circle. So O here, this is the center of the circle. Okay, you need to know that so that we will identify that line RP is not passing through the center. Then SOQ is the diameter, SOQ, that's the diameter, and angle SRP is 37 degrees, SRP. So this angle here is 37 degrees. We have to find angle PSQ. So PSQ, this is the angle we are asked to find. This angle here, let's call it theta. That's what we're asked to find. Now, how do you go about solving this particular type of question? Looking at this circle, I can readily say that SRP and SQP, they are actually equal, that this angle is also 37 degrees. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because I know that by reason of the properties of the angles in the same segment, angle SRP is equal to angle SQP. Why? They are angles in the same segment of the circle. Angles in same segment of the circle. Okay? And angles in the same segment, they are equal. So that's why you can see, look at the first one, it starts with from SRP, and the second one SQP. Okay? So the angles in the same segment of the circle, they are actually equal. Then in the second case, I can say that the angle SPQ, that's going to be a right angle, that's 90 degrees. Why? Because it is an angle that is subtended at the circumference by the diameter of the circle. Okay, you know, we are told that SOQ is the diameter of the circle. So this is the angle that diameter subtends at the circumference. Is a variant of the other theorem that the angle subtended at the circumference is half the angle at the center of the circle. And here at the center, you know, is a straight line, that's 180. So here will be 90. So I can say this is a right angle. All right. So the reason here is that it is angle subtended by the diameter at the circumference of the circle. So if we are actually getting all this, our work is quite done for us. We cannot say that from the triangle SPQ, we've now found two angles. We have this to be 37, we have this to be 90, and we know that the sum of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So we can say theta plus 37 plus 90 is equal to 180 degrees, because those are the sum of angles of triangles. Sum of angles of triangle. I'm writing all this so that it will just be a priority in our heart to understand the reasons why we are postulating all this and we are coming to the conclusion that we are arriving at. So theta will be 180 minus the sum of 37 and 90. That will be 127. And if you are to carry out that, 180 minus 127 will be 53 degrees. So this is the way I choose to go about something. You can look at some other means that you can also employ. Just be consistent in using the circle theorems correctly, and you will see that your solution will come out for you. So here, correct answer is option C, 53 degrees. In this question, we are to find the sum of the interior angles of a pentagon. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, what is a pentagon? Okay, now generally a pentagon is given as a polygon that has 5 sides. Now we are not being told that it's a regular pentagon, so the sides may not be of the same length, but we are to note it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sides. Okay, so what we are being asked in the question is the sum of the interior angles. This angle, this angle, this angle, those are the interior angles of the polygon. That if we add everything together, what is that going to give us? Now there is a general formula that is used to get the sum of the interior angles of a polygon. Okay, and that is given as n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. Okay, or like some people like to do, they said it is 2n minus 4 multiplied by 90 degrees. It's the same thing, because from 180 we just factor out 2, so we have 2n and minus 4, and then we have 90. So in this particular case, what we need to identify is what is n. N is the number of sides or the number of interior angles, and for a pentagon, that is 5. So in that case, the sum that we're being asked to get, the sum will just be 5 minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees, and 5 minus 2 is 3 times 180. So what's 3 times 180? 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 8, that is 24. We have 2 remaining. 3 times 1 is 5 plus that 2, that is 540. So 540 degrees, option C, is the correct solution to this particular question. The diameter of a sphere is 12 centimeters. We have to calculate, correct to the nearest centimeter cube, the volume of the sphere. Okay, if you want to look at this question, this is a pictorial view of what a sphere look like, but we are being told that the diameter of the sphere, that is a run of length from this particular side here to this other side, that was given as 12 centimeters. Okay, if that is 12 centimeters, half of it from the edge of the sphere to the center of the sphere, that will be 6 centimeters, and here the other one will also be 6 centimeters. So for this particular sphere, we can say we have identified our diameter to be 12. That's 12 centimeters. Therefore, the radius, which is 12 over 2, half of the diameter, will be 6 centimeters. Okay, that's the very first thing we need to do. Then the other question is, what is the formula for the volume of a sphere? Okay, volume of a sphere. The volume of a sphere is given as, so if we are to use that formula, we will say the volume here will be 4 over 3 multiplied by pi, that is 22 over 7, multiplied by r, that will be 6 raised to the power 3 over 1. Okay, so we can put that into the calculator and say this is 4 then over 3 multiplied by 22 over 7, okay, then multiply by 6 in 3 places. Alright, so this is expressed in decimal place. This is 905.1428. This is 905.14. Okay, but look at the question. We're told to calculate correct to the nearest centimeter cube. If that's what we need to do, then we need to approximate this to the nearest whole number. And 1, if we want to round up 1, that will be 0. And we'll add it to this particular 5, so that we have our answer to be 905 centimeter cube. Okay, so the correct option here is option C, 905 centimeter cube. A box contains 12 identical balls, of which 5 are red, okay, 4 blue, and the rest are green. We are to use this information to answer questions 39 and 40. So here in question 39, we are told that if a ball is selected at random from the box, what is the probability that it is green? Okay, a pictorial view of what we are talking about is being shown here, in which we have 5 red balls, 4 blue ones, and 5 and 9 constitutes 9. Okay, so since we are told that the total balls that are being featured here are 12, that means the number of the green will be 12 minus 9, and that makes the green balls to be a total of 3. Okay, so that's as it is depicted in the diagram. Now, we are told that if a ball is selected at random from the box, what is the probability that it is green? Okay, now generally probability is given as the desired outcome. Okay, is the ratio of the desired outcome over the total possible outcomes. Okay, over the total possible outcomes that you can imagine from the scenario in which you are looking here. But now in this particular question, we are being told to ask the probability of picking a green ball. Okay, now the number of, what's the number of green balls that we have there? We have gotten the number of green balls to be 3. Okay, that will be 12 minus the addition of the other 2, that's 3. Then the total number of balls that we have, was that is 12. We are told in the question. So in that case, the probability of picking a green ball, will be the desired outcome, that is green, which is 3, okay, over the possible outcome. We have a total of 12 eyeballs. So any of them could have been taken from the box. So that would be 12. And if you want to evaluate this, you can just divide 3 here, 1, 3 in 12, that is 4. Therefore, that probability is 1 over 4. And looking at the options, you can see option D, that is 1 over 4. Alright. So here in question number 40, still following the information that we are given initially, we are told that if 2 balls are selected at random, one after the other, with replacement, this is what we just need to take note of. We'll say is with replacement, what is the probability that both are red? With replacement means that you first pick the ball, then before picking the second, you return it back into the box. Alright, so if you want to evaluate that, we have gotten the formula for probability, but here we are looking at probability of picking red balls. Okay, so in the first case, probability of picking red first, okay, that will be the number of red balls, which is 5, over the total number of balls, which is 12. Alright, then after taking that red ball, we are told that we also replace it before taking the other one. So the probability of picking red second in this particular scenario will also be the total number of red. Now, since you replace it, the number had been returned to 5. Okay, so that's still 5 over the total number. Since we replace it, the total number also had returned to 12. Okay, now I didn't mean that we are told that it is without replacement. This second case would have been 4 over 11 if it is without replacement. Okay, so that's what you need to note if you are coming across this question in some other exam and we are being told that it is without replacement. Alright, so it will be 4 over 11 because the red balls had diminished by 1, the total had also diminished by 1. Okay, but for this particular one, let's just go ahead. We are now told that what's the probability that both are red if we have 2 case conditions here, okay, the first and the second. So the probability that both are red will be the product of these 2 probabilities, 5 over 12 and 5 over 12. And if we want to evaluate that, 5 times 5, that is 25, and 12 times 12, that is 144. And looking at our options, we can see option A is corresponding to 25 over 144, and that is the solution. In the diagram, PQ is a straight line, so this line PQ is a straight line. Now, if M is half of the sum of X, Y, and Z, we are to find the value of M. What will help us first is that we should note that M was given as 1 over 2 of X plus Y plus Z, okay? And all that we have on this straight line, they only constitute X, Y, Z, and the M that we have been given. But now we know that as a general rule of thumb, the sum of angles on a straight line is 180 degrees. So using that postulation, we can say that X plus Y plus Z plus M, the sum of all these angles on the straight line, is equal to 180 degrees. Now look at this. Look at this. We have X, Y, and Z already here. We also have them here denoted in M. So from this particular postulate that we have been given, that M is half of those, we can see that this X, Y, and Z, this X, Y, and Z, their sum is going to be, if we cross multiply here, we are going to have 2M. Okay, and now using that 2M in this particular equation, we can say instead of X, Y, and Z, we know that is 2M, so we can just say it is 2M plus M, that is going to give us 180 degrees. It's just a simple matter of substituting for the value of the sum of x, y, and z as 2m, and then here you can see that 3m is equal to 180 degrees, and if you divide both sides by 3, you can just cut out to know that this 3 will cancel here. 3 here, 1, 3 180 degrees, that's 60 degrees. So the value of the m that we're asked to find is nothing but 60 degrees. And looking at the options that we're given, we can see that's being reflected in option B, 60 degrees. Here in this question, we're told that the points on a linear graph means that it is a straight line graph as shown in the table, this particular table with these values that we have. We are to find the gradient or the slope of the line. Okay, as a general rule of thumb, if you are having the Cartesian coordinates, okay, if you have the Cartesian coordinates and we have a straight line, if you just have a straight line like that, then this gradient or the slope will be depicted as the change in the y-axis, change in this y-axis over a change in this x-axis. So you can say generally the gradient is given as change in the y-axis over change in the x-axis. This implies that if there is a change, then there is an initial value and there is a final value. So the difference between them is what is being referred to here. So we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if you look at the particular question we are given and we say we want to iterate that this is 1, 2, 3. So we can say this is x1, okay, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. Because it's a straight line, whichever values we want to take, they are actually going to be quite good for us in this particular question. In short, we can say we want to say the second set of values minus the first set of values, or the third set of values minus the second set of values, or even we can say we want to take the third set of values minus the first set of values. It's going to be the same because it's linear. So it's the rate of change on the y-axis that is also constant with the rate of change on the x-axis. So any set of values that I want to use will be suitable for us. So in this particular case, if we want to find that gradient, say m will be, let's say we want to use okay, looking at the question, I'm saying that the first and the third, they look quite easy. We don't have 0.85 in between them, so we can easily subtract. We can say I want to use as y3 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's going to give me y3 is going to be 6.5, okay, minus what is y1, that is 3.9 over what is x3 is 7.5 minus what's x1, 6.2. okay, so if I want to just find this, I will say 6.5 minus 3.9, 15 minus 9, that will be 6. Now is remaining 5 here. 5 minus 3, that will be 2, so I have this as 2.6 over, in this particular case, 5 minus 2, that's 3, and then here 7 minus 6, that is 1. You can see 2.6 divided by 1 over 3, you know 1.3 can go here 1, 1.3 can go here 2. So that is meaning that my slope m is equal to 2 over 1, and that is equal to 2. So if you look at the options, you can see option B is giving us 2 as the correct answer. You can choose to use any of the interpolation of the points. Here I'm using y3 and y1. You can choose to use y2 and y1, then x2 and x1, or y3 and y2, then x3 and x2. You will see that you will get the same answer. But this is the understanding behind this type of question, and the correct answer is option B. In the diagram, O is the center of the circle, so this is the center of the circle O, okay. Then PQ and RS, this is PQ and this is RS. They are tangents to the circle. We are to find the value of M plus N. So this is M, the angle between the tangent and this particular chord, and this is N, the angle between the tangent also and this other chord. So now we have to find the value of M plus N. There are quite a number of ways you can go ahead to try and solve this, okay. You can say, for example, the angle between a tangent and the radius of a particular circle is going to be 90 degrees. Okay, so this particular angle will be 90 minus m, and then the same thing also goes for here. The angle between the tangent and the radius of the circle from O to this point, the angle between them is 90 degrees. So this point you can take to be 90 minus n. Okay, now this being this particular line from this tangent to this other tangent passing through the center of the circle constitutes the diameter. Okay, it's dividing the circle into two equal parts. Then if that is the case, this angle here will be 90 because this is the angle subtended at the circumference by the diameter of a circle. So if this is 90, the other two, these two, 90 minus m and 90 minus n, they are also going to be 90 because in short, this angle, and this one, they constitute angles of a triangle, and the sum of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So if we sum them, you can actually find the value of m plus n. That's one way, but that's not what I want to do here. I want to just use a particular theorem that will help us to solve this question directly, and it is the alternate segment theorem. Okay, the alternate segment theorem. And what's the postulation of this particular theorem? Is one of the circle theorems, and it is saying that the angle between a tangent, okay, and the chord of a circle, so this angle m, is equal to the angle in the alternate segment. So meaning that since this is a tangent, okay, and this is a chord, this angle here is also equal to this angle here. This is also m. That's interesting. Okay, then in the other case, since we are also having the same feature here, the angle between this tangent and this chord that is given as n is also equal to the angle in the alternate segment, is also equal to this angle that is given as n. All right, so that is the implication of the alternate segment theorem. That is one. Then secondly, looking at this particular circle, the line from the two tangents, the line here from PQ and RS, they pass through the center of the circle. So that makes that line the diameter of the circle. And if this is the diameter, then the angle in this particular place, this angle here is going to be a right angle. Why is that? Because it is the angle subtended at the circumference by the diameter of a circle. So that's another theorem. Or you can say, okay, the angle at the center is 180 degrees, okay, but here this is the angle at the circumference. That's going to be half of 180. So this is going to be half of 180, which is 90. So now we have this particular triangle that we can now say, yes, we understand that the sum of angles of a triangle, here, this triangle, here, we have it as n plus m plus this right angle plus 90 is equal to 180 degrees. And what postulate is that? That is the sum of angles of a triangle. Okay? A sum of angles of a triangle, such that n plus m is going to be 180 degrees minus 90 degrees. So, and look at that. Is that not what we're asked to find? That's what we're asked to find. So 180 minus 90, that is 90 degrees. And right, and so you can see, looking at our options, that is option B, 90 degrees. It's the understanding of the circle theorems that will help us to know what will be best for us, what will be easiest for us to use, and give us less headache to just come out with our answer as appropriate. In the diagram, O is the center of the circle. So this O, that's the center of the circle. Then if angle NLM, this whole angle, okay, if it's 74 degrees, and angle LMN, this whole angle, if it is 39 degrees, and then angle LOM, this angle is X. We have to find the value of X. So how do you go about solving this question? First, we need to just understand quite a few things. First, we are seeing a triangle and it is inscribed in a circle, so we can use the properties of triangles and circle theorems to solve this question effectively. Now, if we can get this particular angle LNM, okay, we can use circle theorems to postulate the value of x, because x will be twice of that angle according to the circle theorem that says that the angle subtended by an arc, this arc LM, at the center of the circle is twice that subtended at the circumference of the circle. So if we can just get this angle LNM, we can be able to actually solve for x. Now, if we are to look at triangle NLM, this triangle NLM, we can see that the sum of 74 degrees, 39, and this angle, which I'm going to call theta, their sum, we can say that 74 degrees plus 39 degrees plus theta is equal to 180 degrees. Why am I saying that? Because they constitute the sum of angles of a triangle, and sum of angles of a triangle is always 180 degrees, such that in that case theta will be 180 minus the sum of 74 and 39. So 74 plus 39, 4 and 9, that is 13, remaining 1, 7 and 3, that is 10, plus that 1, that is 13. Okay, that is 11. So we have 180 minus 113. 180 minus 113 will be 67. That will be 67 degrees. Alright, so that's the first thing that we are able to get from the properties of triangles. But that's not the whole of our question. We have to find the value of x. Now, if this theta is 167, we can say x, angle x, which is angle LOM, that is angle x, is equal to 2 times 67 degrees. Why are we saying that? Is it because angle subtended at circle center at O is twice angle LNM that we just found to be 67, and that is one of the postulates of the circle theorem, is that the angle subtended by an arc, you can see this is an arc LM, that's arc, this arc LM, okay, the angle that this particular arc subtends at the center of the circle, that is at x, is 2 times the angle that subtends at the circumference. You can see for both angles we are starting at LOM, okay, and the other one LNM. So in that particular case, our answer that we're asked to find, x, will be 2 times 67, that will be 134 degrees. All right, and looking at the options that we have, we can see option A is corresponding to that, and that is the answer to this question.
Which of the following is not a sufficient condition for two triangles to be congruent? Okay, so we need to understand what is being meant by the word congruent. Okay, and I have this beautiful set of rules from onlinemathlearning.com that I've brought in that will help us to actually understand this. Now, congruency is being defined as a similarity between two triangles in which you can look at the features of the sides and the angles of those two triangles to see if they are equal to one another. Okay, if they are similar, if they have shared properties that we can postulate from them. And looking at all of this, we can see that first, if all the sides of the triangles, if they are equal, like here, the longest side is equal to the longest side, this side is equal to this and these are equal, then we say that the three sides, SSS, they are equal. So that fulfills the condition for congruency. If on the other hand, we have two sides, okay, you can see these two sides and the included angle, that's why they said SAS, the two sides and the angle between them, and that's why you are seeing this angle between them. If they are equal, then the two triangles are congruent to one another. In the other case, we have two angles, okay, like here we have this angle and this angle and this angle, and you see, and then there is a common side that is also equal. So these two angles are equal, and then this side that is standing between those two angles, they are also equal. Then the condition for congruency is being met. Now, on the other side, if you have two angles and the side that is actually flushing the two of them, here we have this angle, and this is the side that is flushing the two of them, okay, they are also, these two triangles, they are also congruent. And then for the right angle triangle, of course, if they are both right angle triangles, then angle 90 is being included, okay. Then two sides, like here the hypotenuse and the adjacent, they are also equal. So for these 5 cases, congruency is going to be met. However, if we have 2 sides, okay, but the angles is not the included angle, like here, look at it, we have 6 and we have 11. Also here, we have 6, we have 11. But the angle in question, look at this angle here. This included angle here is not the same as this included angle here. So the sides and an external angle, if it is an external angle, then the condition for congruency is not being met. And looking at all the options that we are given, you can see AAS, we have AAS, that is met. SSS, of course, that is straight. SSS is met. SAS is met, but SSA, the 2 sides and an angle to the side, then in that particular case, it is not going to meet the condition for congruency. So option D here is the correct answer. A woman received a discount of 20% on a piece of clothes she purchased from a shop. If she paid $525, what was the original price? So this is a very good question on commercial mathematics, but I would like to take a proportional or a ratio approach to try and solve this. Now, we are told that the woman received a discount of 20%. Now, it's a discount, meaning that originally, if the original amount is tagged at 100%, okay, a discount, 20% discount, 20% discount means it was a reduction of the price, will amount to 100 minus 20, okay, and 100 minus 20, that will be 80%. So what she's paying is 80%. Now we are told that what she paid was actually $525. So $525, in that case, $525 is amounting to 80%, okay. So we are looking for the amount that corresponds to 100%. This is actually the very wonderful fast method to try and solve this question, particularly when you are doing aptitude test. Okay, I remember those days they used to offer aptitude test. You need to find a quick way to be able to solve these questions instead of using cost price, selling price, percentage discount or whatever. This is quite a very good means, and here we can just cross multiply to say now that means that with this our x will be 525 times 100, okay, times 100% over 80%. So percentages will cut out, and then I can just also try and knock out 10 here is 8, 10 here is 10. So our x, the value of x, which is the original price, will be 5,250 over 8. Okay, so if you want to just evaluate that, we can bring in our calculator to say 5250 divided by 8. What's that value in decimal place? That's $656.25. So that's $656.25. Okay, and looking at the options that we have, just walk through the options. You can see this is option C that is corresponding to our answer, $656.25. It's just the good understanding of discount, appreciation, depreciation, or particularly here that I can relate to ratio and just get out the answer directly. So the correct option is option C. The interquartile range of a distribution is 7, and if the 25th percentile is 16, we are to find the upper quartile. If we have our distribution in something like this, okay, we can actually have a feel of our data entry, and we can just have some divisions in which we are looking at. First, we are looking at this is 4 divisions, okay, 1 2 3 4, and here this will be the 25th percentile, this is the 58th percentile, this is the 75th percentile, and this is the 100th percentile if we are taking it from 0. Now, from this particular question, what we are being told is that we have a difference between the 25th percentile and the upper quartile. The upper quartile is the 75th percentile, so this is upper quartile, is the upper quartile. The 25th percentile is the lower quartile, so this is the lower quartile. But we're told that the interquartile range, originally the interquartile range is given as a difference between the upper quartile, which is Q3, and the lower quartile, which is Q1. But now we have been told the lower quartile, that's 25th percentile. So the Q1 we're given to be 16. Okay, the interquartile range we're given to be what? To be 7. So and we're asked to find the upper quartile, which is the 75th percentile, that's Q3. So we just plug in the values of this data that we're given. Interquartile range is 7 is equal to Q3 that we're looking for minus the 25th percentile, which is Q1, that's Q1. So we can just put in the value as that is 16, such that Q3 will be 16 plus 7. When 16 moves to the left hand side, it will become positive, and 16 plus 7 is nothing but 23. So looking at our options, you can see option C is corresponding to that, and 23 is our answer. We just need to understand this particular set of percentile and the quartile for us to be able to find the interquartile range and substitute as appropriate to get our answer. All right. Here in this question, we're told that the graphs of the equations y is equal to 2x plus 5 and y is equal to 2x squared plus x minus 1, they are shown. So this straight line, the linear graph, is the one corresponding to y is equal to 2x plus 5, and this curve, okay, is one corresponding to y is equal to 2x squared plus x minus 1. So we are to use this information to answer questions 48 and 49, and here in question 48 we are told to find the point of intersection of the two graphs. Yes, now normally we know that we normally use graph and we plot the solution to this kind of question, and we look for the point of intersections, in which in this case this point here and this point here, the one shown in red, they are the point of intersection, and we can say we want to try and trace them. And if we want to trace them, we'll do something like this. From here we just move to the left hand side, and then from here we move to the right hand side, and the point on the x-axis is going to be one of the solution. And here also we can see we are moving from here to the y-axis and also to the x-axis, and the point of intersection is also the solution. Now if you look critically at this, I'm having quite a very difficult time trying to get that point out. For example, look at the first case, okay, in this right hand corner. What I'm saying is 10, but look at the options. I'm not seeing 10 there. And even by the scale of this particular graph, initially I was thinking maybe it was a diagram that was not captured properly, but looking more and more intently, I'm saying that I think it's deliberate, because by reason of a consistent scaling, this should be 5, this should be 10, maybe here should be 15, here is 20, here is 25. But deliberately, they put 5 in between this particular two, okay? And look at, now, if that is not even the case, look at this lower one. This should be 5, okay? This should be 10. Or like they said, like they did in this upper range, this actually should be, now this should be, 5 should be somewhere here. So, I think what was being requested was not actually to solve the question from the graph. Yes, the graph was there. I take it as a distraction. What are we solicit that we do? We are asked to find the point of intersection of the two graphs. These 2 points of intersection are the point in which the two graphs, they are actually equal. So I can just say the point of intersection is the point in which 2x plus 5 is equal to 2x squared plus x minus 1. And I will get out the value of x and substitute for the value of y. Alright, so if I want to do that, I will say that is implying that 2x squared plus x minus 1 is equal to 2x plus 5. I move everything to the right hand side, okay, to get the value of y. So I can say I'm having something like 2x squared. When 2x moves to this place, it becomes minus 2x, okay, and then x minus 2x will be minus x, then minus, when we have minus 1 here and we have 5 here, when 5 moves to the left hand side, it becomes minus 5, so the two of them will become minus 6.
is equal to 0. And this is what I'm going to do. Now, looking at this, I'm having this particular quadratic equation that I can try and solve with whatever means I find suitable. Looking at this, I'm having a product that is 2 and minus 6. That is, the product is minus 12x squared, and the sum will have to be minus x. Okay, now trying to solve that, what two numbers can I multiply together to give me minus 12x squared? I can consider minus 4x and 3x. Okay, if I'm using that, I know that minus 4 times 3, that is minus 12. X times x, that's x squared. So I'm good. Now, if I'm to sum them, minus 4x being added to 3x will still give me minus x. So I think that is a very good thing to use. I can just say, now, instead of writing minus x, I'll say I still have my 2x squared, okay, but now I'm going to say minus 4x, okay, plus 3x minus 6 is equal to 0. So I can just collect like terms. In the first instance, I have 2x is common to both, so I will have x minus 2 remaining, then plus 3 is common to both, x minus 2 remaining, that is equal to 0. So this is going to give me 2x plus 3 and x minus 2 is equal to 0. If I solve for this, then I can say this is here. I want to manage my space here, so I can say from this particular left hand side, I have 2x plus 3 is 0, or x minus 2 is 0. For this particular case, x will be minus 3 over 2, and here x will be 2. Minus 3 over 2 is the same as minus 1.5. Then for the other case, x is 2. But that's the value for x. Okay. Now, looking at the options that I have in this particular case, I can see that now, where are the options for x to be minus 3 over 2 and 2? Okay, yeah, okay, we have this. Look at this. For all of this, x is 2. In short, that is 2. And for all of this, minus 3 over 2, that's minus 1.5. That's consistent. So the bone of contention is not even the x, it is now the y that we need to look for. Okay, is the y. And for my graph, if I want to look at that, the value for x in the first case, minus 1.5, you can see this is 1, this is minus 1, this is minus 2. Minus 1.5 is originally supposed to be in this particular middle, but it's not reflected there. It's moving towards the left. And here it's supposed to be exactly on 2, but what I have is not exactly on 2. So working from the graph is not what they really want us to do. So I've gotten the value for x to be minus 1.5 and 2. Let me clear my board. So now, from where we are coming from here, we've been able to get that our x is minus 1.5, or the x is 2.0. So now, the task before us is that these particular values for x, we are going to use it in any of these two equations, either the linear equation or the quadratic equation, to find the corresponding values for y. You can even look at the options that we are given. We are seeing that now 2, 2, 2, 2 is common to all of the options. Minus 1.5 is common to all of the options. So the bone of contention is not with x, it is y that we need to clarify. So in the first case, when x is minus 1.5, okay, what's going to be our y? If we want to use the equation, y is equal to 2x plus 5, okay. In that case, y will be 2 multiplied by x will be 2 times minus 1.5, okay, plus 5. 2 times minus 1.5 is minus 3, okay, plus 5. Minus 3 plus 5 is equal to 2. So for that first case, when x is minus 1.5, y is equal to 2. Now, I use this particular equation just to get that. In the second case, I can say I even want to use the other quadratic equation, because if we use any of them, we are going to get the same answer. So in the second case, when x is equal to 2.0, I want to use y to be 2s squared plus x minus 1. Okay, so in that particular case, y will now be 2 multiplied by 2 raised to power 2, okay, plus x, that's 2, minus 1. This is going to give me 2 raised to power 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So we have 8 plus 2, which is 10 minus 1, and that is 9. Okay, so that is going to give me the solution as in the first case, when x is minus 1.5, I have minus 1.5. What is the corresponding value of y? It is 2.0. Okay, and in the second case, when x is equals to 2.0, what is the corresponding value of y? That is 9.0. And you can see, looking at the options that we have, you can see that option A, 2.9, 2.9, and minus 1.52, minus 1.52 is the correct solution to this question. So if you are trying to just solve it from the graph and you want to accurately read it, you are not going to get this correctly. This is a good way. This is the way that WAEC even expect that we go about trying to solve this question. And it is our understanding of the intersection between a linear and a quadratic graph that can help us to solve this appropriately to get our answer as option A. Alright.
So here in this question number 49, already we have established the fact that we cannot trust the diagram that we are looking at. We need to do our calculation ourselves. We are now being told that if x is minus 2.5, what is the value of y on the curve? Now, what's the equation for y from the curve? We are told that y originally is 2s squared plus x minus 1. That is for the curve. This particular curve is not a straight line, it's a quadratic graph. And that's why we have 2 raised to power 2 times x raised to power 2. Okay, that's why we have the power of x to be 2. But now we're not told that when x is equal to minus 2.5, what is that value of y? You know, if we also say we want to trace, and when x is minus 2.5, okay, this is minus 2, this is minus 3. Yeah, in between the two, we just want to look at what's the value for y. Okay, yeah, okay, then we want to trace to the right. Okay, this corresponding value, you see, it's as if it's lying between 5 and 10, and that midpoint is supposed to be 7.5. But for crying out loud, 7.5 is not even in the option. So let's calculate this and see what we are going to get. So we can say that means that we can plug the value of x as minus 2.5 into this equation, so such that our y will be 2 times minus 2.5 raised to power 2, okay, plus minus 2.5 minus 1. Okay, so this is going to give us 2 times minus 2.5 raised to power 2. That will be the same as 2.5 raised to power 2. Okay, that's 6.25. So this 2 multiplied by 6.25. Okay, then plus multiplied by minus, that will be minus 2.5 minus 1. All right, so in that case, the y will be 6.25 multiplied by 2 will be 12.5. Okay, minus 2.5 minus 1, that will be minus 3.5. All right, so 12.5 minus 3.5 is nothing but 9.0. Okay, so you can even see, how can we conclude that this is 9.0? No, it's not closer to 10 in that regard. So, but for this question, we've been able to work out and evaluate that the correct solution to the question that when x is minus 2.5, the value of y on the curve is going to be 9.0. So option C is the correct answer. If x plus 2 is a factor of s squared plus px minus 10, we have to find the value of p. Now, this is a beautiful question on polynomial in which we can employ the factor theorem. Okay, factor theorem is going to help us to solve this question correctly. And here, like we are told that x plus 2 is a factor. So x plus 2 being a factor means that we can say x plus 2 is equal to 0, because we are solving for quadratic equations. You notice that we solve to a point in which you now say that we have a number of factors, maybe x plus 2 bracket x minus 3, both of them are equal to 0, then x plus 2 is 0, or x minus 3 is 0, then x will be minus 2. Okay, now that's the first thing we need to note. But it's not only stopping there. When we now do this, normally if we plug in the value of x, which is minus 2, into this question, it should give us 0. That's what the factor theorem is postulating, that here the function of x in the particular equation is going to give us 0. So if we want to do the function of x, we can just say, what's our x is minus 2. So we are looking for the function of minus 2 in the equation that we are giving as s squared plus px minus 10, and that is going to give us 0. So we just want to do that. We can say, instead of x, we are now going to put minus 2 raised to the power 2, okay, plus p multiplied by x. X is again minus 2 minus 10, that's going to be 0. So minus 2 raised to the power 2, that is 4. P multiplied by minus 2 is minus 2p. Then this minus 10 is equal to 0. If you collect the like terms, we will take minus 2p here and we just rearrange. What we are going to have is that 2p is equal to 4 minus 10, okay, and that is minus 6. Therefore, p is minus 6 over 2, and that will be minus 3. So looking at the options that we have, we can see that this is option B, minus 3, and that's how we can use the factor theorem to solve questions like this whenever we come across them. And that's all we are going to be having for our wonderful video for today. I hope you have been able to learn one or two things. We've covered quite a whole lot of ground. We've talked about circle theorems, circle geometry, mensuration of plane shapes, quadratic equations, simultaneous equations, trigonometry, angle of elevation and depression. We've talked about Surds. We've looked at logarithm, indices, logic, statistics, graphs. It has been a wonderful journey, and I believe you are now better equipped to go and do the best in that your exam. That is our aim for you. We want you to be the best that God has created you to be, and that's why we are putting in all this effort. Making these videos is no joke. This particular video took nothing less than 12 hours to actually work with, solve the question, solve them, edit the video, do the audio, and it's quite a whole lot of effort just so that you can be what God has created you to be, and that is to be the best in your very endeavor. So what we want you to just do is that don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you are finding these videos useful, please share with your friends, share on your social media, share with your young ones, share with your relatives. Let's do this together. We can build this academic excellence in students and make their life a better place. It's Day to Academy, and until next time, God bless you.